I think everything's good. I think the warning tracks were the biggest concern for everybody, you know, about a few minutes ago, but they're starting to dry out a little bit. Everything's fine. These guys would not be on the field if the conditions weren't up to snuff. You know, Ned Yost, Craig Counsell don't want their guys risking injury this early in spring.
Former Brewer manager and a World Series champion manager a couple of seasons ago with Kansas City, Ned Yost. And here is his Potawatomi lineup. Raul Mondesi will lead off at second base. The designated hitter is Mike Moustakas, coming back from the ACL tear. Alex Gordon will be in right. In the middle, it's the new Royal, Jorge Soler, coming from the Chicago Cubs. Cheslor Cuthbert is at third base, batting fifth. Ryan O'Hearn batting sixth. And the bottom three, Brian Pena, Ramon Torres, and Bubba Starling. And that's a lineup that will face Zack Davies. So minimal action today, limited action today, as Davies gets his spring training underway. And as we mentioned, just one inning, 25 pitches about the max, and a good starter for him today.
What a difference a year makes, right? I mean, really not on the radar screen as a big leaguer in spring training last year. He comes into spring with a job, you know, pretty much his to lose. It looks like he's going to get it. But, you know, nothing eye-popping about Zack, other than the fact that he gets people out. I mean, his poise is eye-popping, of course, but he just is able to command the strike zone, mixes pitches well, and was very impressive a year ago.
Let's take a look at the defense behind Zack Davies. You've got Hernan Perez in left, Keon Broxton in center with Domingo Santana in right. Around the horn, the Brewers go Shaw, Rivera, VR, and Thames. Jed Bandy will do the catching. A lot of new faces in that Brewers lineup, and Brewers roster are on display here this afternoon. We are finally ready for baseball. Great to have you with us today on Fox Sports Wisconsin, all across the nation on MLB Network. And the first pitch is in there for a strike, and away we go. Raul Mondesi at the plate to start it off for Kansas City. Switch hitting second baseman. A shortstop by trade. The Royals have a pretty heated battle at second base right now. It's one of the few position battles that they have, and Mondesi is one of those competing for that job. Home plate umpire this afternoon is Toby Basner. Jim Wolf and Brian Knight are the base umpires. Three-man crew. That's the way they operate in spring training. Once you get to the regular season, there'll be 4 major league umpires. And a little broken bat bouncer out to short. And Rivera makes the play for the first out. And that is typical Zack Davies right there.
A little bit of sink, adds a little bit, takes a little bit off. He's got 4 or 5 pitches that he'll go to at any time. He throws strikes, got to keep the ball down and on the corners. And we saw a lot of that last year. An 11-4 stretch over his last 25 starts. And very, very impressive a year ago.
Back in the 15 season, the Brewers acquired Davies from the Baltimore Orioles. It was a trade deadline deal. The Orioles needing some outfield help. The Brewers traded Gerardo Parra to Baltimore. And Davies has emerged as one of the best pickups that the Brewers have made in the last few years. Mike Moustakas coming back from a knee injury last May, end of May last season, torn ACL. Been a long road back, but he has arrived back in time for spring training.
Man, the Brewers not messing around, not waiting too long to incorporate those big shifts. You saw VR early in the count. I mean, way out in short right field. Got to have a good arm to be playing out there, but they mix it up a little bit with 2 strikes.
Move Shaw back to the left side. You might remember Moustakas was probably the poster boy for a batter that started to beat the shift and make adjustments to the shift. And he actually had a lot of success, and there was a lot less shifting on Moustakas, and you give him credit. I'm surprised more hitters haven't adopted that philosophy.
Tough. It's not an easy transition to make.
Davies pulls the string on him. Moustakas strikes out. 2 up and 2 down for Zack Davies.
Tough to go from a pull hitter to a guy that sprays the ball over the field, which is what Moustakas was able to do. That's a good changeup from Zack. So he's got all of his pitches working for him so far. I think it was as easy as Moustakas made it. I think everybody would do it, present company included.
Here's Alex Gordon now, 2 gone, just underway from Maryvale Baseball Park, spring training home of the Brewers. after a 20-minute delay. Shift is on for Gordon. The Brewers were one of the shiftiest teams in all of baseball last year. And it's always fascinating to watch how the shifts are operated. In this scenario, Travis Shaw is the third baseman, but playing in a more normal second base position, and they've got VR out in the grass in the outfield. Sometimes Shaw is that player out in the grass. I would imagine it all has to do with who the second baseman is, and with VR, a guy who has great range and a great arm, you want him to make that long throw.
And those shifts are determined by 3 players on one side of second base. You see a lot of mini shifts, maybe not pulling 3 guys on one side of second base completely. That doesn't count as a shift. It really is, though. But a lot of work goes into how these shifts are determined as the game goes on.
Saw Craig Counsell with his pitching coach Derek Johnson. Davies has Gordon 2-2. And Davies strikes him out. Little comeback sinker. Impressive inning for Zack Davies. 3 up, 3 down with a couple of strikeouts. We hope to hear from Zack a little later in our broadcast. That's the way to get your Cactus League schedule started. They're having a chat with Jason Lane, one of his coaches, and Counsell and the Brewers rolling out this lineup today as the Brewers get set to face the Kansas City Royals, and pitcher Danny Duffy, who has emerged as the Royals ace. Potawatomi batting order for Milwaukee: Broxton, VR, and Thames. In the middle, Santana, Shaw, and Perez. Jed Bandy, Jesus Aguilar, and Yadiel Rivera round out the starting 9 for the Brew Crew. 3 up, 3 down inning for Zack Davies. His lone inning of the game, perhaps. And here is Danny Duffy rock to make the start for Kansas City. Broxton, the leadoff hitter for Milwaukee.
Yeah, 7th year for Duffy. He's 36 and 33 in 6 full seasons, 6 seasons, and all with the Kansas City Royals. You see 26 starts, 1 complete game last year, and a nifty 12-3 record. A career earned run average of 371, a hard throw with a pretty good changeup.
Now Duffy, part of that remade Kansas City rotation. The tragic loss of their starter Yordano Ventura. You see the patches on the jerseys, says Ace, his nickname, Ace Ventura. That was one of the more troubling news stories of the offseason as we turn the calendar year, and it's had a few tragedies at the end of last year with Jose Fernandez and, of course, Yordano Ventura and Andy Marte both passing away on the same day in separate automobile accidents. Royals did make a few moves with their pitching core. Went and got Jason Hamill and Travis Wood. But Duffy has emerged as the ace of this rotation, and Kansas City looks like a team that is poised to contend once again in the American League Central.
Well, they've certainly got the starting pitching. They got their closer, and it's a matter of staying healthy for Kansas City. They have a little bit of a disappointing season last year. 3rd place in the Central in the American League. At 81-81 record after 2 consecutive.
High fly ball into deep right center. That is off the fence, deep in right center field, and the speedy Broxton turns the corner, headed to third base, and he's in there with a sliding triple. The power alleys here at Maryvale are 400 feet from home plate. That's a home run in just about any big league ballpark.
Well, Broxton certainly has turned his career around with that new batting stance, able to drive the ball just like he did there. Taking that ball in the right center. Check it out. The hands are low. Watch the way he throws the hands at that baseball. That's a swing and a miss right there, but the pitch right after that drives that one off the wall in the right center. But the setup, it's all about the setup for Broxton, not a pull hitter anymore.
So here is VR with a runner at third base. A little half swing foul into the net.
It might have been a swing and a miss, but he looked good doing it.
I thought that was a whole setup. We were going to have the good or the bad first, then the good. It's coming.
Yep.
I think the line drive is coming.
Learned a lot from that first swing.
A lot of that rain got into our truck. There's a few gremlins in there. VR, a swing and a miss, tied him up with a fastball. Here you go, Rock.
Yeah, check it out. I mean, same setup. He pulls the hands back and then just drives that baseball in the right center. That's something that he was not doing early in the year last year. He has turned himself into a pretty good hitter.
Broxton figures to be the starting center fielder opening day as VR strikes out. And Duffy comes back with a punch out with a runner at third and his first out.
Yeah, Duffy last year 188 strikeouts in just shy of 180 innings. That's pretty good. Got to make him get the baseball down in the zone. That was a high heater.
Duffy was the Royals pitcher of the year last year, as set by their organization. 28 years of age. Here's Thames, one of the newest Brewers. If this is your first time checking in on Milwaukee, got a number of new faces here, and maybe the one who is grabbing the most headlines is this face of Eric Thames, coming from Korea. 3 dominant years in Korea. Big time power hitter. Pops this one a mile high. It's going to stay playable, and there is Cuthbert for the out. So Duffy with a runner at third has a strikeout and a pop-up. 2 men are gone. I
think one of the things that David Stern's Craig Counsell wanted to see coming into this year, a little bit more balance in that lineup. Talking about lefty versus righty batters. You got Thames, you got Travis Shaw, both left-handed hitters, giving you a little bit more balance in that lineup.
And with 2 outs, here is Domingo Santana. He'll be the Brewers' starting right fielder to begin the year. Brewers are pretty well set. There's a good competition in center field. Braun's going to be the starter in left, of course, and Ryan is not playing in games just yet. He's healthy, nothing wrong with him, but it's going to be a couple of weeks. He did that last year and responded with a 30 home run season, and I think with year 11 in the major leagues about to get underway, Ryan Braun has a good plan. He and Craig Counsell are in communication every day, and we won't see Braun on the field, even though he is with the ball club every day during pregame workouts and batting practice and whatnot. His day just ends about noon.
Yeah. Well, Ryan, talking to Ryan last year about you know, what he needs to get ready for the season, about 25 at bats, and he got off to a good start after those 25 at bats in spring last year.
Santana trying to deliver the runner at third, takes a strike from Duffy. There you got Braun in left, competition in center, and you figure the incumbent Broxton will get the first crack at it with the success he had last year. And then Santana, back from injury, will be the right fielder. Santana had an elbow and a shoulder injury last season. put him on the disabled list when it was all said and done for about 2 months. Terrific looking player, 6'5". He's got great power. Strong throwing arm, good speed. Brewers got him a couple of years ago from the Astros. Changeup and a swing and a miss.
Yeah, that's a good pitch. I mean, Duffy, mid-90s with a fastball, but you can also pull the string on you with that pitch. That's nice.
Duffy will be headed for the WBC, playing for Team USA. There's Santana on a base hit to center field, just past the outstretched Mondesi, and it's a 2-out, 2-strike RBI single, and the Brewers strike first this afternoon.
Nice adjustment by Santana. Came back with a changeup, got it right off the end of the bat, but put it in a good spot right into center field, just out of the reach of Mondesi at second base. Got that changeup up a little bit more than the first. And Santana just trying to protect the plate, put it in play, gets an RBI.
So a leadoff triple and delivered by Santana with 2 outs. 1-0 Crew. And that'll get Travis Shaw an at bat in this first inning. Well, some familiar faces down there in that Royals coaching staff. Of course, Ned Yost, former manager of the Brewers, and Dale Swaim is on the staff as well, another former Brewers manager. Matter of fact, Swaim replaced Yost in that 2008 season. And they've had a lot of success coming together in Kansas City.
Yeah, back-to-back World Series appearances, 1 World Series title. A .500 record a year ago, a little disappointing for the Royals. Tough enough to go back-to-back years to the World Series, let alone 3 in a row.
Now, the American League Central produced a World Series team yet again last year, the Cleveland Indians. So a winnable division if you're in Royals camp. Figure the Indians and the Tigers and the Royals will be contending in that division. There's Dale Swaim. Always good to see the former Brewer shortstop.
Yeah, looking good. Knew we were on television today, and he shaved today. That's nice of him.
The ageless Dale Swaim. You know, for a guy who only eats 1 bowl of Fruit Loops every day.
Every other day, actually.
It's amazing how in shape he looks, Dale Swaim. He
eats a lot of seeds.
He never changes.
One of the good guys in the game of baseball.
He
Dale Swaim.
Stays well hydrated, I suppose.
Yes, he does. Got to.
3 balls and a strike, and a throw to first. Duffy checking on Santana. It's a very soft, slow field today, you would imagine. You can still see some of the remnants of the rain in the warning track, but it poured hard.
They did a good job, the grounds crew here. I mean, it rained hard, what, about 45 minutes before the game? Everybody thinking this game's not going to be played, but they got it in. Warning tracks aren't all that great, but they don't have to be.
Well, a 2-out walk to Travis Shaw. A couple of men on base. That'll bring up Hernan Perez. Might see these two square off against each other in the World Baseball Classic. Perez is going to play left field for Venezuela. A lot of these WBC players starting to leave their respective major league teams. And most of them will all be with their WBC teams by the weekend, including Perez, who will depart the Brewers on Saturday. He's fortunate, though. Venezuela is actually doing their 1-week training in Surprise, Arizona, which is where the Royals train. It's about 30 miles from here. So he doesn't have to go too far.
No. There wasn't a more valuable player on the Brewers roster last year than Hernan Perez. Very valuable, plays a lot of positions. Another guy that really turned himself into a good hitter.
Perez has pushed his way into elite status in his country for sure, and you get asked to be on a WBC team in Venezuela, you've done something. And look at all of the representatives in the WBC that the Brewers have. 9 different players will be playing in the WBC. And it's also the reason we are having spring training as early as we are this year. Spring training games starting on the 25th of February this season, always a week early when the WBC is in play. One and two to Perez. First and second, 2 outs. And Perez spoils one foul. Brewers on the board first with a 2-out RBI single by Santana. And then a 2-out walk. Has Perez up there with 2 on. See what Duffy has in mind here. 1 and 2 the count. And that one's hit hard and foul.
Not by much.
Called by the home plate umpire. Remember, there is only a 3-man crew here, so no third base umpire puts the burden on the man calling the balls and strikes.
Right. This one looks like it might go right over the bag. Let's check it out. It hits a line, and then beyond the bag, it's in foul territory. Tough call for the home plate umpire.
No replay for spring training games, by the way. But we still go through the exercise with Bill Schroeder here in the booth. He's the unofficial replay coordinator.
Good call. I'll make that call there.
Pitch in the dirt. Brian Pena out there to block it. Keeps the runners at bay.
That was a pretty good job. The pitch before there, that foul ball. Perez getting on top of that big fastball from Duffy. High fastball, tomahawked it.
Somebody in the Brewers dugout appreciating the effort by Brian Pena. He gives a little salute. 2 and 2 the count. On the ground, third base. Cuthbert goes the easy way, and that will retire the side. Brewers make a little noise, though. Domingo Santana with an RBI single. Came with 2 outs. 1-0 Crew as we head to the second. Minute rain delay here at Maryvale Baseball Park. Brewers Royals Cactus League Baseball today. And you see one of the newer faces in camp, Jabba Chamberlain, on in relief. We'll get a good look at Jabba. He's with the Indians last year for 20 games. And he'll have a great shot to make the roster as a bullpen member.
Yeah, most of his career came with the New York Yankees. Time with Detroit, these Kansas City Royals, Cleveland, and now the Brewers.
Well, we have on a headset in the Brewers dugout the starter, Zack Davies, who hardly broke a sweat here today. That was an impressive 1 inning. Did you lobby for more today, Zach?
Not today. We'll get our starts. We're starting a week early, like you guys have said. So we're going to get plenty of innings here, and got to get everybody a chance in the game.
So what's the process for you on a day? You know you're going to pitch 1 inning. This is your first Cactus League start. I assume you don't just arrive like you would at a normal start in the regular season. What's the day like for you in spring training?
We try and make it as as similar as possible, though. I know we start early in spring, but you kind of gauge the time and get out there whenever your routine starts and try and do as best as you can to get similar to the season.
First man up, Jorge Soler of the Royals. He swings at the first pitch, and a mile high ends up in center field for Broxton for out number 1.
Hey, Zach, let's go back to last year real quick. I mean, the first 3 starts, things didn't go real well for you, but boy, those 25 starts after that, what was the difference between the first 3 and the final 25?
I sat down with DJ a couple times and talked about what we should be doing, getting back to myself and doing the things that I need to be doing right. So once I kind of settled down and got within myself, things kind of turned around from there.
Yeah, what surprised you the most about pitching in the major leagues as opposed to in the minor leagues? Anything, pop out at you that kind of surprised you as you went through the season?
Kind of when you move up through the system, and especially when you get to the major leagues, everybody knows their job, and they get on base, they steal. The guys that hit for power, they hit for power, and they know exactly what they're there for, so they don't really deviate from that too much. So going into each start, making sure I sequence right and I read the hitter and doing what I do best is giving myself the best chance to succeed.
Obviously in the major leagues you have a lot more information to go to in between starts, before starts, as opposed to the minor leagues. How do you process all that stuff and know what to include in what you want to do that day and what to kind of like throw off to the side?
It can be a lot at first. You've never really gone through that process in between starts. You get lots of video, you get lots of input on your start, so it's kind of, you get your game plans and you get your reports from the future teams, and so you kind of have to gauge that early on and don't use too much, but don't use too little.
Visiting with Zack Davies, today's starter. 1 inning for Zack, a clean inning with a couple of strikeouts. And here you are, Zack, at 24 years of age, traded from the Orioles to the Brewers a couple of seasons ago. And now you're one of the 2 pitchers that Craig Counsell said has a spot in the rotation locked up as Chamberlain walks Cuthbert. How does that make you feel when you're in this program a lot earlier, and maybe in the big leagues a lot earlier, as a lockdown starting pitcher in the majors? I mean, that's got to be a great feeling to start the season.
It is. It is kind of a relief, but at the same time that anything can happen. You're not doing your job, you're not getting your work in, and you start slipping up, and the next guy in line's wanting your job. So you can't take it lightly, and you can't just let it go. So you go in each day knowing the work that you have to do and still stick to it.
Now you're from here, aren't you, Zack? This is I know you're a Washington kid. You have the big tattoo with the Seattle skyline, but you've got some ties to Arizona. What's the story? What was your upbringing like with Arizona and then the Seattle area?
I was born up in Seattle and lived there for 6-7 years, and then moved down here with my parents early on. So I've grown up here, and I feel like I have 2 homes, but I live in Gilbert, so it's about 45 minutes to an hour drive away. But it's nice to be home for some spring training.
Pride of Mesquite High School here in Arizona. Zack Davies. Chamberlain facing Ryan O'Hearn, playing the top of the 2nd. And we're visiting with Brewer starter Zack Davies. Tell us about the staff in your mind, and as you guys now start to form a unit together, and it's always important to have that connection with your starting mates. Talk about Junior Guerra and Matt Garza and how it's been for you in this early part of spring training.
Well, early on last year, we kind of had kind of a mix-up in the staff. We had injury and kind of had some new guys in the rotation. So just getting to know everybody at the same time as a group, and going out to dinners with each other and kind of feeling each other out and making sure that we're on the same page with everybody, and helping each other out as much as we can, because we're here to win.
I noticed that at least from what I've seen, you guys spend a lot of time cheerleading for each other, watching each other's side days, bullpen days. Where did that start? Has that been that way since you've been a Brewer, and who's kind of the leader in that department?
Well, the first year when I got called up in September of 15, Kranitz kind of started it with our guys. We would go out to the bullpens and we'd watch each other, and I think it's just kind of a responsibility on each other that we're looking out for each other and also helping ourselves out, watching each other's bullpens and just giving pieces of information here and there that can help. Not trying to overload them too much, but every now and then something small could help them, and it could turn things around for them.
Hey, Zach, I know we talked about those starting pitcher dinners. Who ends up buying in those dinners?
Well, we sometimes play credit card roulette, but Garza really takes care of us. So he's a great guy, great guy for the staff, and Jabba also coming in here having a great personality and light in the clubhouse. But everybody respects him and knows the time that he has in the game. So it's nice to have those guys around.
Now, wasn't it last year Matt Garza gave all the starting pitchers robes last year in spring training? Was that last year?
I didn't see one.
I think that was, yeah, I think it
was that the year before? Okay, are they giving away anything this year that you might be a part of this time?
We haven't talked about it yet, but we'll see if anything happens.
They were all running around in bathrobes a couple of years ago that Matt Garza bought them.
Jabba put on Jimmy's robe of a couple of years ago the other day in the clubhouse and was walking around trying to find him. So
Zack Davies joining us after his clean inning of work to get his Cactus League schedule started. Chamberlain trying to get through this inning, facing Pena, misses low. It's risky with 2 outs, but real quick, Zach, the emergence of pitchers like you, command pitchers who have a lot of success in the major leagues. There seems like a new wave coming, and it seems like you've tapped in to that wave, which is a great place to be.
Yeah, I hope to continue that. It's been something I've done all my life, is studying the game, studying hitters, and the mental side of the game is huge. And so for a guy like me that doesn't have the 96, 97 in the tank, but has the command and knows that if he's putting the ball in the right place, that hitters are going to have a tough time.
Well, you pitch calm and you interview calm.
Thank you.
And we appreciate your time today. Thanks for coming on with us, Zach.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Good job today. First outing for Zack Davies. And he and Junior Guerra will sit at the top of that Brewers rotation, Rock. And these aren't pitchers that are big names. These are new names,
right,
in the baseball circle. And yet both with tremendous success last year. And I think it's got the Brewers feeling very hopeful about what this staff can do this season.
It's just amazing how poised Zack Davies is. Young guy, hasn't had a lot of experience. Of course, you can't be, kind of laid back, on the mound without being laid back in, every other walk of life. So he's been an impressive young man.
Little fly ball is going to fall into center field. Long battle between Pena and Chamberlain. And a little jam shot base hit for Pena has the Royals threatening in this second inning. First and third with 2 away. The Brewers did go add some pieces to their pen. They went for some veteran players and some relievers who are trying to get back to an elite status. The closer this year for the Brewers is going to be Neftali Feliz. And Chamberlain hopes to be in a late inning role for Milwaukee as well. 2 outs. Here is Ramon Torres, the shortstop.
Yeah, we saw Neftali Feliz last year kind of progress. I mean, he wasn't throwing all that hard early in the year, but the fastball came back as the season wound down last year. And I saw his first side session. Of course, first time he threw on the side, that was a week ago, and looked pretty good.
Chamberlain, a non-roster invitee, knows he has to impress to make the ball club out of spring training this year. There's a little slapper over to third base. Shaw goes the easy way to second, and that'll be a scoreless inning for Jabba Chamberlain. 1-0 Brewers. We head to the home second. Jet Bandy, Jesus Aguilar, Yadiel Rivera coming up.
Bottom second here in Maryvale. The Brewers with a 1-0 lead. And hey, what do the Beatles, Hello Kitty, the Iron Man have in common? They're all Brewers theme nights in 2017. Join the crew for all their exciting theme nights this year, complete with character appearances, laser shows, unique giveaways, and more. Visit brewers.com/theme nights. Hello Kitty.
Ought to be a lot of fun. Hope you get a backpack with that.
Yeah.
My daughter had a Hello Kitty backpack.
I had kids, had daughters that were into Hello Kitty.
Now you're a grandfather.
Yeah.
Twice over. It's not exactly sunbathing weather here on the berm at Maryvale Baseball Park. Got some cloud cover, temperatures in the low 60s. But we have been able to wrestle around the rain. It rained yesterday on the Brewers and the Rangers, and then a hard rain came through this morning. But looks like we're all set for the rest of the week, and it's supposed to be great as the week continues. Jed Bandy leads off, first ball swinging. The new Brewer catcher pops it up, and out number 1. Duffy's back out there for a second inning of work. Remember, Duffy is preparing for a WBC appearance for Team USA. And with 1 away, here is Jesus Aguilar, player the Brewers acquired from the Indians. Big slugger. Hey, check out who's in the first base dugout, Rock, with a headset on. Whoa, Cory Hart is in the house.
Yeah, trying to relive the good old days here.
Glory days, Cory.
Right.
Yeah.
As soft-spoken as ever. Great to see you, Cory.
Good to see you guys.
I saw you you exchanged the lineup cards today. Were you nervous doing that?
A little bit. You know, I try to make sure I didn't screw it up, which I don't know if you can screw that up very often. But
it didn't say best supporting actress on the lineup card.
It did not. No, there was definitely a. I thought for somehow I was gonna hand them a Reds card or something, but that was good.
What do they have you doing while you're here? You going to be here for a while?
No, I'll probably be on the minor league side a lot more, but I was actually hoping to kind of help out the guys today, just mess around and kind of observe. Of course, the rain didn't help that today, but so I might be back a few more times before I go over there for sure. But I don't know, I just want to be around and kind of be involved in the organization.
Maybe get an at-bat.
If it gets, hopefully it never gets to that point. If it gets to that point, things are going really rough.
Man, what a career you had, and some great memories with the Brewers in your time here, Cory. And I know, and you live here, you live in the Phoenix area, so it's nice to have you in camp as Aguilar grounds to short. And there's the second out. So quickly, just kind of catch us up on, after your playing days ended, have you actually officially retired?
I don't think I've actually officially retired.
Okay.
I told my agent last year that don't call me, but I had the last
meaning if any teams are interested, tell them not call.
Yeah, I was not interested. Well, I had took a lot of knee problems, and I just didn't want to deal with it. I mean, I got tired of the 2-3 hours a day rehabbing just to get out there. So my kids are getting older, and they're constantly competitive with their sports, and I felt like I played long enough that I could stop and kind of make sure I was able to be there with them. And I wanted to coach Matthew, which you guys know my son, so I wanted to coach him, and I was able to stop and start doing that right away.
Well, I know, according to my sources, you were an outstanding fantasy camp coach.
Yeah, I don't want to brag, but we set the bar really high this year.
They won it all. He was working with Eddie Cedar and Willie Mueller. So yeah, Cory. Cory, if you win the championship as a coach, you've got to kind of come back the following year.
No, yeah, we definitely have to bring it back, and maybe not with Willie. He was a little interesting, but me and Eddie Eddie was only there for a day or two.
Do you see any similarity between what you saw in fantasy camp and what you're seeing out here today?
Yeah, this definitely looks like our championship game.
Very similar.
Very similar. Velocity's maybe a little firmer, but the quality of players are all.
It's the subtraction of all the boilers that really gives you the visual.
Well, nobody's fell down yet, so it's not quite fantasy camp.
Well, we have a good time, though, don't we?
Oh, dude, it was a blast. I had a great time.
Well, aside from all that, I actually had a purpose to that question on the lead about fantasy camp, but I know you have an interest in potentially coaching or possibly managing. Is that a step you'd like to take in the professional game?
Yeah, I think eventually. Like right now, I mean, I've met with these guys today, I mean, somehow I want to be involved, almost, part-time role, just to kind of get my feet wet and try to figure out exactly what I want to do.
Well, that ball's hit hard into center field. That is way back. Oh, my. Rivera hammers one off the batter's eye. Straight away center field. Yadier Rivera hits a bomb.
Like a young rock.
Yeah.
I was going to say a young Cory Hart. That makes it 2-0 Milwaukee.
I was going to say Cory, but Cory used to hit those high fly balls that never seem to come down.
Yeah, just try to find the win and make it work for me.
Yeah.
But no, eventually I would love to manage and coach in minor leagues for sure, and then maybe one day in the big leagues. But like right now, between my kids' activities and my wife was a rock for so long, I don't want to abuse her and leave right now. So, if anything I can do part-time, maybe spring training with the minor league side and come over here once in a while, or rove around a little bit and just be involved a little bit. That's something I want to do right away, and then eventually add more to that.
Well, you'd be great at it. We always enjoyed our time with you, Cory. It's great to hear from you and see you in a Brewers uniform again. Thanks for spending a little time with us.
All right, thanks, guys. How about this coach right here?
Get in the game with Cricket Wireless. We've got more.
Two-out home run to center field off the batter's eye gives the Brewers a 2-0 lead. Good to see Cory Hart.
Yeah.
That was fun. I was not expecting that. I'm glad that our friend Mike Vasallo, media relations director, was down there and able to rally up Cory. New pitcher rock is Luke Farrell, son of John Farrell, manager of the Boston Red Sox. And you see his numbers as a starter last season, here to try to clean up an inning for Duffy, and I'm sure he'll get another inning.
Yeah, 6'6", 210 pounds. He was a 6th-round draft choice from the Royals out of Northwestern University.
A cancer survivor, just like his father. Inspirational baseball men, John Farrell, the manager, and his starting pitcher son, Luke. Keon Broxton. 2 outs in the inning, right off the end of the bat, falling fast. That's down, a base hit. So the Brewers are getting their hits. That is the 4th of the game, and it's a single with 2 outs for Broxton, who is 2 for 2.
That's a good curveball too. Broxton able to stay on it long enough to get the end of the bat and dump it into center field. Staying on the baseball nicely so far.
Tell you, this center field competition for the Brewers right now is going to make for a very competitive and interesting spring training. Yesterday, Lewis Brinson, who was acquired in the Lucroy deal from the Rangers, had 3 hits against his old team, the Rangers, yesterday. The Brewers picked up their first victory of the spring yesterday in surprise against Texas. 5-0 was the final. And Brinson went 3 for 3 with a double and an RBI.
Had a 2-homer game in the exhibition game against UW Milwaukee. So yeah, he's swinging the bat well.
And Broxton today has answered with 2 hits of his own. Jonathan Villar, who struck out his first time up, batting with 2 outs, runner at first. Villar will be headed for the WBC as well for Team Venezuela. What a great year last year. Villar, one of the surprise players for the Brewers. Brewers got him from the Houston Astros in an offseason deal prior to last season. When you think about the Brewers and the Astros making a trade, you think about what was a blockbuster deal for Carlos Gomez and Mike Fiers. The Brewers receiving 4 prospects. Villar was in a separate deal with Houston after David Stearns had taken over as GM, coming from the Astros as the assistant GM to the Brewers general manager post. He liked Villar, thought he had a chance, thought there was something there that he could tap into, but I don't think he could have ever have imagined just how good Villar would be for the Brewers last season.
Yep, led all the baseball in stolen bases last year, 62 of them.
A switch hitter who will now play second base this year for Milwaukee. Started the year at short and was an excellent shortstop. That's his natural position. But a holding spot for Orlando Arcia. There's the Brewers general manager, David Stearns. Runner goes Broxton, and the pitch is fumbled by Pena.
Foul ball.
Actually a foul tip.
Yeah.
So Broxton back to first.
Yeah, running on the pitch, and you can't really tell, but Pena not able to get the baseball. Foul tip called.
1-2 the count. 2 men are out with Broxton, the speedster, at first base. Last year, Villar hit .285. Had 19 home runs, 63 runs batted in, and those 62 stolen bases. That's a big number on the stat sheet.
And throughout most of the season, he was well over 300. Just kind of tailed off right at the end and got that batting average still very respectable at .285 for a leadoff hitter. See how he does at second base this year.
He said he's very happy about the move to second base. Brewers are going to turn Scooter Gennett into a utility player. Gennett, the opening day second baseman last year. Villar admitted he wasn't all that comfortable at third base this season, or last season. There goes Broxton, and a swing and a miss. Villar is down on strikes. Side retired. Brewers get a run. 2-out home run by Yadiel Rivera, and it's 2-0 Brewers as we head to the third. A strikeout to end it. Royals coming up. of the Brew Crew, Maryvale Baseball Park. Turned out to be a nice day here after the rains and the wind blew through here earlier today. Had the tarp down on the field, and field had to have a little recovery time. We actually got started about 20 minutes behind schedule. So here we go to the third inning now with the Royals coming up, and Rock, it'll be Carlos Torres on the pitch.
Yeah, 72 appearances last year for Torres. That led the team. He also had 82 and a third innings pitched, which also led the team. Outstanding year for Carlos. A 3-3 record and a 273 earned run average. Cut fastball specialist.
Torres facing Bubba Starling to start it. Starling batting ninth for the Royals today, and then to the top of the order, Mondesi and then Moustakas. And on the ground it goes, ranging over. Rivera has got that strong throwing arm, and out number one.
It's that cut fastball from Torres.
Carlos Torres on his way to the WBC, pitching for Mexico. These guys, Rock, take a lot of pride in pitching for their respective countries, especially the Latin players, playing for their countries in the WBC.
And they take it seriously. They want to win, and they put a lot of pressure on themselves to perform well in this tournament. I like it. I like the WBC.
Sure.
Like watching it. Guys have an extra gear that they would not normally have this time of year.
Top of the order, Raul Mondesi. He bounced to short his first time up. Zack Davies started, retired the side in order in his lone inning. 3 up, 3 down with 2 strikeouts. Jabba Chamberlain pitched the second inning, allowing a walk and a single, but a scoreless inning. And now Torres gets the third. The runs for the Brewers: an RBI single by Santana in the first inning, which scored Broxton, who started the game offensively for the Crew with a triple. And then Yadiel Rivera hit a solo homer in the second with 2 outs. On the ground, that's going to get by Shaw into left field. Mondesi turns and runs, and the throw to second is in time. Trying to stretch it into a double, but Hernan Perez, A, hustling for the ground ball, and B, firing a strike to the bag at second.
Good play, both ends right there. Perez shading toward the line with Mondesi, who doesn't have a whole lot of range. He got there quickly, barehanded it. I watched the play from Jonathan Villar. Talk about an athletic play. Check it out, right on the line. Able to turn around and make the tag. Mondesi an easy out at second base.
I think VR was a little bit surprised that Perez was so close to the ball and there was a chance to make a play. And a wet baseball, you would have to imagine.
Yeah, slows everything down. Yeah, base runners are going to take more chances with a wet baseball for obvious reasons.
Moustakas on the first pitch. Skies one to right for Santana. Nice tidy inning for Carlos Torres. A 3-batter inning. A single, but a play at second. And an assist for Perez. Great catch. Great tag by VR.
Brewers' most flexible ticket plan ever with the all-new Brewers Flex 10-pack. You can choose your games as you go, plus you'll get opening day as your free 11th game, all starting at just $16 per ticket. Go to brewers.com/10packs.
Your promo game is in mid-season form, partner.
I'm feeling real good. I'm excited about being back in the booth. You know, the winter was a bit cold this year, as Carlos Torres another stellar inning, only 6 pitches.
All strikes. Well, it's good to have you in the booth.
Well, it's just good to be back doing baseball.
I wasn't sure you'd be showing up in February. I didn't know what kind of arrangements you had on the contract. But
yeah, okay.
It's good to have you back.
We were out here actually January 11th. Like it so much out here.
Matt Strahm is the Royals pitcher.
Yeah, Strahm signed with the Royals back in 2014. He hadn't been around all that long and spent all year in Double-A last year. 6-4, a .386 earned run average for Eric Stout. Actually, Eric Strahm.
Or Matt Strahm.
Wow. I'm going to do that over.
Thames in the air to left field. And Soler makes a catch for the out. Hey, like I said, your promo game is in mid-season form.
Other than me. Yeah. Okay.
Wait, let's start this over again. We'll fix it in post.
No.
The new Royals
just
pitcher
gonna let it go
is Matt Strahm.
Yeah.
Rock, what do you have on Matt Strahm?
I'm efforting. You could have just let it stay with Stout. I think we've been okay with that. Nobody would have known.
That's not true.
Except Mr. and Mrs. Stout and Strahm.
Domingo Santana.
Oh, boy.
See, February baseball's not in your normal rhythm.
I can always count on you, got my back. I can always say that. I will say. That has not changed.
Santana, last time up, singled in a run on a 2-out, 2-strike base hit off Duffy.
There we go.
And that's a ball high. So the Royals' new pitcher is Matt Strahm. Rock, what do you have?
Big dude, 6'3", 185 pounds. He was actually signed in 2012 in the 21st round. Big, tall lefty.
I see you've done your prep today. Nicely done.
See, it's not right that they have Eric Stout, a left-hander, and Matt Strahm, a left-hander, right back to back. I kind of got confused.
It's understandable.
Pay no attention to the name on the back.
Nor to the announcers.
Right.
At least until March 1st.
Right. April 3rd. That's what we're all gearing for.
Is this your guy? Does this jibe with all the prep you've done for Matt Strahm?
Yep.
Okay, good.
West Fargo, North Dakota.
2-2 to Santana. Sends one high in the air. Sun shining brightly now. And it's the second baseman, Mondesi, who is over to make the catch. O'Hearn was having some trouble. Mondesi was there. Santana retired, and 2 men are out for Matt Strahm.
Yeah, what sun there is, this is a tough area of the field looking into over that Brewers dugout. And you can see both of those guys having a bit of an issue with it. Sun coming in and out of the clouds here today.
2 up, 2 down. Here's Travis Shaw. Walked his last time up. Brewers lead 2-0, scoring single tallies in the first and the second. Santana with an RBI. Rivera, Yadiel Rivera with a home run last inning. Shaw is going to get the chance to be the everyday third baseman for Milwaukee to start the year. Brewers feel like they've locked down the corners with Shaw at third and Thames at first. Shaw coming to the Brewers in a trade with Boston. That was part of that Tyler Thornburg deal. Brewers also got a terrific young shortstop who we saw a couple of days ago, Mauricio Dubon. And Shaw's excited about the chance. He played very well for Boston last year. Took the job from the Panda. They'll ask if he went. Yes, he did. And Shaw is out. And the inning is over. 3 up, 3 down inning for Matt Strahm. To the 4th we go. 2-0 Brewers. Two to nothing Brewers. Cactus League Baseball today on Fox Sports Wisconsin and all across the nation on MLB Network. And a reminder, Brewers fans, you can stream games live on your mobile device with the Fox Sports Go app all season long. Download the app and take Fox Sports Wisconsin and Brewers baseball wherever you go. Brian Anderson with Bill Schroeder, Marty Tarr, our producer, director, our terrific crew here in Phoenix, Arizona. Thanks to Ken Spendler and Mike Vasallo from the Brewers Media Relations Department for helping us out with interviews as well. And Rock, here's Michael Blazek on to pitch, becoming the 4th Brewer pitcher of this game.
Now he is Michael Blazek, right? Is this the guy I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah, you know all about him.
Yeah, 41 appearances. Had some injuries last year, did Blazek. That 566 earned run average. A lot of that coming when he wasn't feeling 100%. To see the record at 3-1, one of the mainstays out of that Brewers bullpen before the injury bug started to hit him.
Blazek, along with Torres and potentially Jabba Chamberlain, the last 3 pitches you've seen in this game will certainly have the look of a Brewers bullpen. Certainly Blazek and Torres at this point. Alex Gordon leads off for Kansas City, and on the first pitch, lines one into center field, a base hit. So one of the fan favorite Royals delivers with his first hit.
It's kind of what the Royals do. I mean, always have good approaches up there at the plate. Look how soft and quiet he is in the bottom half. Not a lot of movement with those legs. Picks it up, sets it down, and very quick to the baseball.
Gordon is on, and here is Jorge Soler. And Soler's on the first pitch, a swing and a miss. The former Cub, he was traded. He was part of a deal that sent Wade Davis to the Cubs as if Chicago needed any more firepower. But the Royals exchanging Davis in the final year of his contract for 5 years under club control of Jorge Soler, and they're taking a chance that Soler can live up to that great promise. The outfield was full for the Chicago Cubs. Soler had a tough time getting into the starting lineup last year. He's going to get a chance to play every day with the Kansas City Royals. Wave and a miss. Good slider by Blazek.
Yeah, his time with the Cubs, you know, the book on him get ahead of him. He will chase breaking pitches out of the strike zone. He's got a big swing. He'll strike out a lot, but not too many guys have more power than Jorge Soler. Big time home run power.
Just turned 25 last week. Blazek from the stretch deals it outside. Soler is still a work in progress defensively. You'll notice that today the Royals have Alex Gordon in right field. Gordon has been a Gold Glove left fielder. There was a stretch there 5 years where Gordon won 4 Gold Gloves. So they're trying to make him a little more versatile, even talking about playing Alex Gordon in center field. And will allow Soler in the right. Ground ball to third. Shaw to second. Out there. Throw to first is late. So the Brewers get the lead out. And the first out for Michael Blazek.
There's a good curveball from Blazek. He's one of those guys that throws a curveball and a slider. See, Soler has to double clutch. A little easy roller down the third baseline. Good play by Shaw to get the out at second base.
Runner at first, 1 away. Here's Chesler Cuthbert now. Cuthbert is one of the 4 that are competing for the second base job with the Royals. Cuthbert is a third baseman by trade. And with Moustakas coming back from the ACL injury, you figure he's got a bit of a line on that job. I'm sure the Royals are not going to roll out Moustakas every day at third base. And Cuthbert is also out of options. Says Chester, but it's actually Chesler Cuthbert.
Nobody's perfect.
It's spring training. I mean, we don't take ourselves too seriously. We're all working. It's a work in progress for all of us.
That's why it's spring training.
Big swing and a miss by Chesler. He is out of options, so this becomes a very big spring training for him. Out of options means the Royals cannot send him to the minor leagues without having to clear waivers.
Might help him if it's a decision between 2 guys. Normally the guy that's out of options ends up sticking with the team.
And if you have a good spring training and the success that Cuthbert had last year at times, you figure a big league club would snatch him up if he was made available. So he's in pretty good shape with Kansas City. Oh, there's a big fastball and a swinging strike on the appeal.
Yeah, it looked like a called strike. Didn't get the call, but called the check swing at first base.
Second out of the inning.
That had a live sound to it, that fastball. Might have been a little bit high. Looks like Cuthbert could not hold up.
So 2 men are out. First strikeout for Blazek. And here is Ryan O'Hearn. Nice block back there by Jet Bandy. We haven't talked much about the new Brewer catching core. Gone Jonathan Lucroy, gone Martin Maldonado, who made up the catching tandem for a number of years. Both traded. Lucroy to the Rangers last year, Maldonado to the Angels for Bandy this offseason.
Yeah, Bandy, a big guy that moves around there pretty well. I mean, blocking the baseball. You saw him throw out a couple of base runners on Sunday. All the skills behind home plate. He, Manny Pena, Andrew Susac. Looks like 2 of the 3 of those are going to make the team.
2-0 the count on O'Hearn. And that's up high. 3-0 now. O'Hearn, a former Royals minor league player of the year a couple of seasons ago. Double-A last year. Could be the future at first base with Eric Hosmer in the final year of his contract. There's a strike. Interesting times for the Royals, Rock. They are in a window now where a lot of their name players, the core group of players that took them to back-to-back World Series and won World Series title, are now coming up on contract, including Escobar, the former Brewer, and Hosmer.
Man, that's where small market teams have a bit of a disadvantage, not able to sign their guys. So you got to make hay when the sun shines when they're young, which they were able to do.
Ned Yost, his bench coach Don Wakamatsu. It's an organization that has been through a lot this offseason. So 2 men are out with 2 on now for the Royals, and here is Brian Pena. Pena turns on one. Well hit down the right field line. That is fair, and it'll go to the wall, and this is going to bring in 2 runs, and just like that, Kansas City has tied it up. 2-2 ball game on a 2-out 2-run double by Pena, his second hit of the game.
They just couldn't get that third out, and Pena taking a high fastball. It was middle in. Pena's always been able to hit wherever he's been. Able to turn on that pitch, a switch hitter, able to pull that one down the right field line and tie her up.
So, with 2 outs and a runner at second, here is Ramon Torres now. Switch hitting shortstop for the Royals today. Blazek trying to get out of this inning.
Yeah, the history of Blazek has been pretty consistent here in spring training. He's never really had a great spring. I think it takes him a while to get his fastball going and his breaking pitches to be crisp and be able to put him where he wants him. It's always been that way with Michael.
Yeah, you're right.
He breaks spring training and all of a sudden he kind of dials it in.
Fights with the breaking balls, it seems like. Fly ball into right, wind's blowing out. Long run, and Santana able to run it down. Boy, that ball just kept carrying and carrying. Santana with those long strides able to fetch it, and Blazek is out of the inning. Good catch. Fighting the sun, the wind, sunglasses on, retires the side. Cactus League Baseball from beautiful Phoenix, Arizona. And a reminder that the Brewers Community Foundation is at work once again, and you can get involved. The Community Foundation, also known as BCF, is the charitable arm of the Milwaukee Brewers. And we appreciate all the support, raising money for a ton of great projects all throughout greater Milwaukee and the state of Wisconsin. And we tip our hat to the executive director, Cecilia Gore. Hernan Perez will lead off for the Brewers. 2-2 ball game now. 2 runs for the Royals in the top of the 4th on a Brian Pena 2 RBI double. Matt Strahm starts his 2nd inning of work. Perez bounced out his last time up, first at bat. Well, I just love his swing, Rock. Yeah. It's just a short, compact swing.
Stays inside the baseball nicely, which means he leads the knob of the bat through the strike zone, and that really allows him to stay on the baseball and drive it to center and to right field.
Shows bunt this time, takes a strike from Strahm.
Very rarely, if ever, overswings. Not looking to hit home runs, but has the power to be able to do it. Turn on one when he has the count in his favor.
He carried over a fantastic season for the Brewers last season, a breakout season for him, where he has established himself as a consistent major league producer. And then he went to winter ball and won the Venezuelan League batting title this winter. Hit over 370 in winter ball this year, and he's earned a spot on the WBC team. Hernan Perez. Brewers picked him up 2 seasons ago from the Detroit Tigers. They claimed him in June. And I remember at the time he was hardly playing with the Tigers. And wondering what was the plan for Hernan Perez with Milwaukee, and did he take advantage of an opportunity?
Yeah.
Wow.
Came over, didn't have too many major league at bats, was on the bench a lot. Got off to a rough start as a Brewer, but the more playing time he received and the more work he got in, better he was swinging the bat.
Perez pops this one up. And that'll be Mondesi to make the call. He's got it for the out. 1 away here in the 5th inning, or rather the 4th inning, and that's 4 in a row retired by Strahm.
And Craig Counsell was saying that when Perez came over to Milwaukee, he had a batting practice swing, which means in batting practice you can get away with a lot of bad habits because the ball's not getting thrown all that hard, no breaking pitches unless you know they're coming. The more he worked, the more cage work he put in, that's when he's been able to groove that swing. He's become a big-time major league hitter.
You can understand too, you know, most of his action in the big leagues was in the batting cage. He was a defensive replacement with the Tigers, maybe a pinch runner. A shortstop by trade was Perez.
He surprises you with the way he swings the bat, and he has surprising speed. He steals a lot of bases. It's kind of part of his game that most people take for granted with Perez.
Jed Bandy with 1 away. It is Jet Bandy, J-E-T-T. It's a combination of 2 names, John and Chester, who was known as Chet, 2 of his family members, dad and an uncle, and so they went with Jet, which is a really good baseball name, I think.
Not too many Jets around. Unique.
2 balls and a strike. Inside. Bandy. The 3-1 count. Bandy brings some offense to the position. He's got some power. Had an extended run last year. First time he's had an extended run in the big leagues last season for the Angels after being called up in 15. Fouls that one out of play. The 3 catchers the Brewers have in camp, they're all just a little bit different. Bandy brings a lot of size, strong throwing arm, maybe not as mobile behind the plate, but he brings some power. And you got Pena, who is trying to earn his way to the big leagues. There's a jet with 1 T. This is a jet with 2 T's. And he lines one into left field, a base hit. So Bandy on a 2-strike pitch. Singles to left, his first hit of the day.
Yeah, jumped on top of a high fastball right there. Good top hand by Bandy. Big dude, Jet Bandy, and when you're tall like that, long arms, and a lot of room for error, but you got to stay right on that baseball, which he was able to do, and line it hard into left.
Bandy, Pena, and Andrew Susac are the 3 catchers playing for the 2 spots available on the roster. Aguilar now takes a strike.
And Manny Pena, the only left-handed hitter in that threesome, which could help him.
Susac, more known as a defensive catcher, very good defender. So it'll be interesting to see which way the Brewers go. Ball and a strike on Aguilar. Spent most of the year last year in AAA Columbus in the Indian system. Hit 30 homers in AAA last year. Had a huge season. He played in 137 games in AAA, Rock. He hit 30 homers, drove in 92. And had 26 doubles to go along with the 30 home runs. Got a little time in the big leagues, but not much on that World Series team in Cleveland. Only 9 games and only 6 at-bats. Did not have a hit in the big leagues last year.
I have him listed as 6'3", 250 in the Brewers media guide. He looks taller than that.
All legs.
He really does.
Maracay, Venezuela. Able to lay off. And the count evens at 2-2. Aguilar is a first baseman. So a little bit of insurance with Eric Thames in the fold. Thames is going to be the first baseman, signed a multi-year contract. Aguilar sends one high in the air. It's another one a mile high. And over to make the play, the center fielder, Bubba Starling, for the out. 2 gone in the inning now. And that'll bring up Rivera. Last time at the plate, Rivera hit one off the batter's eye in center field. A bomb for a home run. His first of the spring. Not only his first homer, his first hit, first RBI.
And that's the thing. That's the big question mark for Yadiel Rivera. Swinging the bat. He's going to be able to hit enough to be in the major leagues. There's no question about his ability defensively anywhere you put him.
Rangy shortstop by trade who can play third and second. You can put him in the outfield. But he is very talented defensively. Carlos Subero, the Brewers' first base coach, telling the story when he was managing in Biloxi in Double-A 2 seasons ago. The keystone combination of Yadiel Rivera and Orlando Arcia And Subero's not exactly one for hyperbole, but he was adamant that Rivera Arcia combo was as good as any double play combination in the major leagues at the AA level. Rivera strikes out, and Strahm with 2 scoreless strands a runner at first. All tied at 2. It's the Brewers and the Royals. Cactus League Baseball this afternoon.
Go.
Game, top of the 5th. Cactus League Baseball today on Fox Sports Wisconsin and all across the nation on MLB Network. We're glad you're with us. Brian Anderson with Bill Schroeder. And the new pitcher for Milwaukee as we go to the 5th is going to be Taylor Youngman, 5th pitcher used by Craig Counsell today.
Yeah, a forgettable season for Taylor Youngman a year ago. Far departure, from the year he had previous to that. 8 starts. I should say 8 games, 6 starts, an 0-5 record, and you can see the high earned run average and looking to turn things around this year.
Taylor trying to make this ball club as a reliever now. So as in years past in the starting rotation, now trying to give the Brewers a little bit of an unusual look in the bullpen, and he certainly does that. Slings it across his body, that crossfire delivery. Youngman, a former 1st-round draft pick and a former college player of the year at the University of Texas. Drafted in 2011. His first offering, sweeping curveball misses. Bubba Starling, the batter. Royals at the bottom of their order with Starling, and then they'll turn it over to Mondesi and Moustakas next. 2-2 game, top of the 5th.
Yeah, the crossfire delivery for Taylor Youngman. 2 things. It makes him very tough to hit. Also makes it sometimes very tough to be consistent in throwing strikes. He really struggled with his breaking pitch a year ago. And watch the back foot. Watch the drag, the toe, where it ends up. I mean, that's a 45-degree to third base. Very unusual. Tough on the arm.
And that's way inside. Hit Starling. And Youngman fighting his command at his first few tosses of his 5th inning here. So Starling is aboard, a hit batter.
He's big and tall. He's got that crossfire delivery, and a consistent release point has been difficult for him as of late. You see the way that ball comes out, throws across his body, and that not even close. No way Starling can get out of the way.
It's like when you go play golf and you're hitting it so good on the driving range, everything's right down the middle, and then you step onto the first tee and you hit one into somebody's swimming pool, right-sided.
That I get.
It's kind of what it feels like.
You know, the straight down the middle in the driving range, not so much.
These guys, you got to remember, they're all trying to work through different pitches, different mechanics, trying to clean up and get back to a rhythm. It's been a long time of inactivity in real games.
And you know, one of the big things that Youngman was working on, he was working on it down in the minor leagues, and I'm sure this year in the offseason, trying to iron out that release point and keep it consistent.
Youngman used to be a very hard thrower. He was in the mid to upper 90s in college, which is why the Brewers selected him in the first round, 12th pick overall that year in 2011. But the velocity dropped quickly once he got into the pro game, and now he hovers around 89 to 91 miles an hour. So it is imperative that he has good command and has good breaking stuff. There's a good breaking ball there. Mondesi strikes out. He found the release point on that one.
Yeah, he threw it for a strike. It was up in his zone a little bit, but it was the speed that got him. That's a good pitch. Got to keep that one down. A little bit more consistency, though. Boy, that's the pitch, and that crossfire fastball that has that natural cut that made him so good a couple of years ago.
So now Youngman will face Moustakas. 0 for 2 today. Royals with a runner at first. Youngman checks on Starling.
Yeah, check out the way the mark is made on the toe, on the back toe, as he pushes off. I mean, that is a 45-degree angle to the third baseline. Most guys are pretty much straight away toward home plate. And I guess if that's how you're teaching a young pitcher to pitch, you want that drag, that mark that you make with your back toe to go directly toward home plate or a little bit closer. Not where Youngman has it, but that's what makes him so difficult to hit. It's tough to kind of have him deviate from that. Got to just figure out that release point.
There's a high fly ball to right. Backing up on it is Santana. He's got a beat on it and makes a catch for the out. Moustakas is gone. 2 outs for Youngman here in the 5th. And there are a lot of pitchers that crossfire with a lot of success. You think about guys like Chris Sale. Funky mechanics that allow them to have all that deceit. Jared Weaver.
That's where the mechanics really become important, because it's easy to put a little bit too much pressure on elbow and shoulder when you do that.
Alex Gordon takes a ball down and in. Gordon's coming off a very difficult year. It was a down season by all accounts. Hit just .220 last year and only 17 home runs. He had signed a long-term deal at 4 years. $74 million contract, and Royals fans were glad to see it. Gordon's such a big part of those World Series teams. A superb defender. But he's part of this core group that now the Royals have questions about. How many are they going to be able to retain? Gordon's under a long-term contract. Salvador Perez is under a long-term deal. You wonder if the Royals are going to make a run to sign Hosmer, who will be a free agent at season's end. Alcides Escobar is a free agent at season's end. A lot of tough decisions for Dayton Moore and company.
Yeah, small market teams, not a lot of resources, and got to pick and choose where you spend big money like that. That's where the minor league system comes into play for teams like the Brewers and the Kansas City Royals.
And Gordon draws a walk. So Alex Gordon with a single, a walk, and a strikeout on his line today. 2 on for the Royals, and Youngman will have to deal with Jorge Soler. Think about what the blueprint was for Kansas City in their World Series year, and that great bullpen. I mean, if you didn't have a lead on the Royals in the 6th inning, it was pretty much over.
Yeah. Get 5 innings out of the starter, you're looking pretty good.
Herrera, Davis, Holland at the time. Holland ended up with Tommy John surgery. He's now with the Colorado Rockies. Davis is with the Cubs now. He's part of that deal that brought Jorge Soler to Kansas City.
Isn't that the way it is, though, these days? The team with the best bullpen ends up getting the World Series, a lot of times winning. Of course, I think the Cubs were a bit of an anomaly there. They had the starting rotation and Aroldis Chapman last year, basically.
Right. Yeah, multi-inning relief efforts. Soler bangs one off his foot. The kid we just saw a moment ago, Strahm, had such a great season last season, really burst onto the scene. He figures to be a big part of their bullpen. And Ned Yost is hoping that Strahm, with Herrera closing games now and their new remade bullpen, can kind of get back to that lockdown 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. And while they don't have the big names in the starting rotation, I thought it was interesting that Ned Yost felt like in his time in Kansas City, he says he has his deepest rotation. Got Duffy at the top, who pitched today, went 2 innings. Ian Kennedy, Jason Vargas trying to come back from Tommy John surgery. Pop up, playable. Travis Shaw makes the call into fair territory, makes a catch. And the inning is over. Taylor Youngman puts up a 0, gives up a couple of base runners. We go to the bottom of the 5th inning. Brewers coming up, all tied at 2. Topics undisputed with Skip and Shannon, weekdays 8:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. Central, only on FS1. Cactus League Baseball. Saguaro cactus there, native to Arizona. Those things are amazing.
They are something. Yep. The Sonoran Desert.
There's Peter Moylan, Rock. He's next up for Kansas City.
50 games a year ago, a .343 earned run average and a 2-0 record.
Facing Keon Broxton, Brewers have the top of their order coming up. 3rd time through for Milwaukee. Will probably be final at bats for the Brewer starters. It's usually the case in spring training. You see 3 at bats and then call it a day. Good slinging breaking ball by Moylan.
Tough angle for a right-handed batter, that sidearm delivery.
Moylan is headed to the WBC. He'll be pitching for Team Australia. Signed a minor league contract with the Royals not too long ago, just a week and a half ago. His second appearance of the spring. Two and two the count on Broxton. Keon tripled his first time up. He scored a run. And last time up, he singled to center field. 2 for 2 today for the Brewers center fielder. Little jam shot off the foot. Ouch. We've put in an official request to interview Keon Broxton today, Rock.
Yeah, be a good one.
We have a man on it down there, Mike Vasallo.
Thanks to hear how that wrist is feeling.
He should be in a good mood with 2 hits. He could be in a great mood with a hit here. 1-2 pitch. See, it's always important because we arrange these interviews before the game. Thanks to the tireless efforts of the media relations department. But if a guy gets asked to be an interview subject for the telecast, it's important for us that he has success. There's Mike Vasallo. On the ground to first, gobbled up over there by O'Hearn, and Broxton is retired.
I think he's going to be in a good mood just because he's feeling healthy. He's feeling good. That right wrist is, looks like it's 100% by the way he's been swinging the bat. We'll see. We'll ask him.
If we start going to guys and asking for interviews and then they go over, then that word's going to get out. You know how baseball players are. They're a bit superstitious.
Just don't ask him. Rely on Mike Vasallo and that group.
Make him the bad guy.
Right.
But then we like to get the credit when we become the good luck charm. It's nice to be able to interview these guys during the game. Gives you a different look. It's the beauty of spring training baseball. If you're just joining us, you missed a chat with Cory Hart. He is in camp helping out the Brewer coaching staff. A great Brewer, Cory Hart. Talked to Zack Davies as well, who started today and went a scoreless 1 inning with 2 strikeouts.
Always good to see former Brewers showing up at spring training. Usually see Jim Gantner out here, Robin Yount. Jeff Jenkins has been out here in the past.
Jonathan Villar takes a ball. 2-1 the count. By the way, there is news on Cory Hart. He and Lou Burdett will be inducted into the Miller Park Walls of Honor. That was just announced today.
Right.
So congratulations to Cory Hart. The great Lou Burdett. There's a base hit. Jonathan Villar with a single to right. His first hit of the day. Good way to finish the day for Villar.
Boy, quick hands on the inside corner right there. Check this out. Now, as tough as these sidearmers are against right-handers, you know, left-handers pick up the baseball pretty well. Villar with a good look at that. That 2-seamer ended up down the middle of the plate, and Jonathan smokes it into right.
So that'll be a good day's work for Villar. 1 for 3 at the plate. Lifted for a pinch runner. I believe that's Nate Orff running for the Brewers. Coming up from minor league camp.
Water, peanut.
Eric Thames with a man on. What do you say is the biggest adjustment for Eric Thames coming from Korea?
Getting to know the pitcher. He's going to rely on, you know, the other left-handed hitters in the Brewers lineup. But if you can hit, you can hit anywhere. It's not going to take him long.
Thames was in the starting lineup yesterday, so back-to-back days for Thames. First time he's gone back-to-back. And I'm sure that Thames appreciates the at-bats. He's going to need as many as he can get.
Yeah.
This guy had rock star status in Korea, an MVP of the KBO. Put up some gaudy numbers.
See ball, hit ball. You don't want to make it too complicated.
Wave and a miss. Big bender from Moyer, and down goes Thames.
Sometimes you can overthink that. They used to talk about that when you move from the National League to the American League. That's not much of an issue these days.
Some images of Thames in Korea last season, and thunder in the bat.
They say they throw a lot of breaking pitches over there, and maybe coming back to the major leagues, he might be better suited to hit the breaking pitch. That was a slider right there that he knocked out of the ballpark.
Domingo Santana takes a ball. So maybe velocity will be the biggest challenge for Thames. The scary part about that, and I'm sure Thames has worked it out, and he's working with Darnell Coles every day, but if you feel like you're late on a fastball, or you haven't seen this kind of velocity in 3 years that you're going to see in the major leagues, and then you start to try to get a swing started a little early, well, then that's going to take you away from the off-speed pitches.
Then they drop the breaking stuff on, you got no chance. Let's face it, hitters hit mistakes, bad pitches, bad breaking pitches, fastballs that get too much of the plate. Nobody really hits the good pitches, right? You look for a mistake early in the count, and you get put a good swing on it. It doesn't matter where you're hitting, Korea or the U.S. There's going to be ample scouting reports available to Thames, and there's really no player in the major leagues, or even the minor leagues for that matter these days, that can say that they didn't know what the guy had. Back in the old days, that was the case. You don't really know a young player coming up. The scouting reports were non-existent, if you will.
Slow roller to short, and Torres will make the play to end the inning. So Moyer works a scoreless fifth for Kansas City. We're on our way to the 6th inning. Cactus League Baseball this afternoon. It's the Royals and the Brewers, all tied at 2. 2-2 ball game as we head to the 6th inning from Maryvale Baseball Park, spring training home of the Brewers. And we're headed to the Royals half of the 6th, but we have an interview in the first base dugout. Keon Broxton is decked out in the headset. Great to have you with us, Keon. What a different feeling it must be for you this spring compared to any other spring in your professional baseball career. How are you settling in now this year?
Oh, yeah, man. It's completely different. Thanks, Yachty. Completely different from any other spring training I've been a part of. I've always been on the back end of spring training, so to actually be, part of the team is awesome, man. I'm getting different looks and getting a different feel of spring training. It's awesome. I like it this way.
Keon, 2 hits today, Had a triple and a run scored in the first, a single in the second, as Hiram Burgos takes over for the Brewers here in the 6th inning. So last year, when we last left you, you had a cast on your wrist, crashed into the wall at Wrigley Field, broken wrist, and it ended what was, I would have to say, a bit of a Cinderella season for you, and a swing change, this moment where you found some secret recipe for success offensively and had this amazing year. So what was the offseason like with the injury, and how long did it take you to get back to baseball activities?
I'm not. Is the mic still on? I'm not too sure right now.
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay. Yeah, the injury, it took a lot longer than I thought to heal. But once during the off season, about after Christmas, is when I got the cast off, and I was able to go to rehab and start working on getting the strength back and the range of motion. And it just took a while. You know, it was a small bone, and it takes a while for it to heal. And it's stronger now. It's 100%, I feel, and I'm just ready to go.
Yeah, taking it back again last year. I mean, a couple of times bouncing back and forth, not getting a lot of playing time. You went down to the minor leagues. I think it was the 3rd time, and you came back with a different approach, a different batting stance. What prompted that?
It was just failure prompted that. Just going over what I was doing and not succeeding. I was watching video, and I was laying in bed one night just thinking about what's going on. Why am I not hitting fastballs the way I used to? And it was just a little hitch in my swing. When I had my hands up, I would bring my hands down and bring them back up. And my timing was all off, and I was just missing balls. I was getting on a sweet spot, just clipping them under them, so that means I was late. And that's all it was. It was just a little hitch. So I figured if I brought my hands down and brought them back up, I can't bring them back down and get in the swing. And went in the cage the next day, tried it out, and fell in love with it. And just the rest is history.
Yeah, but that's an awfully difficult thing to do in the middle of a season, though. I mean, you know, I played and I went through things like that, but sometimes when you struggle, of course, you didn't struggle much the last time you came up, but sometimes you go back to what's comfortable and what you used to do. We talked about that all the time last year when you came up, how difficult a task it is for you to be consistent with that batting stance and keeping those hands down there. That's a tough thing to do.
Oh, yeah.
There's a swing and a drive into right field, and that's going to be up and out of here. And Ryan O'Hearn breaks a 2-2 tie with a home run for Kansas City. The big power from Ryan O'Hearn, his first Cactus League home run. And it's 3-2 Royals. Go ahead, Keon, continue.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you're struggling, man, you're gonna find ways to switch and get back to doing what you can do, and that's all it was, man. I was failing a lot, and way more than usual, and you just got to make an adjustment. This game's all about adjustments, and it can be from pitch to pitch or from month to month or whatever. But you got to find ways to succeed, and whatever you got to do. If you got to drop your hands, if you got to unlace one shoe or whatever you got to do, you got to do it, man. And I just found a way to get me in a good hitting position to see the ball and pretty good swing on things.
And it seems like just watching you every day and watching you do all of what you do in the pregame preparations, especially with your batting practice, your tee work, all of that, it seems like you have conviction now with the changes that you made, and you trust that it's going to work for you. I guess that's probably the psychological piece is the biggest piece to that, to have the success, but then realize, no, this is who I am now.
Oh, yeah, definitely. The mental part of this game is first. You got to have that. You got to have confidence and faith in yourself that you can play this game. And when I first came to the big leagues last year, it took a while for me to be able to get comfortable and really think while I was playing the game. You know, and that's a big part of this game. You got to be able to think, and you got to be able to know what you want to do and execute. And start of the season, I wasn't comfortable. I wasn't mentally prepared the way I usually was, and it showed. And I just found a way to get myself in a comfortable position to hit, and everything else took care of itself.
Well, Keon, there's great competition, a ton of terrific outfielders, including yourself. But based on what you did last year, you know you're going to get the chance to carry on with what you did last season, and we're looking forward to watching you play in 2017.
Thank you, man. It's gonna be a fun year. I think all these guys here, we do have great athletes and great players. And Craig Counsell always talks about turning our talent into skills. And I think it's different for everyone. I think everyone has a different time span on when they figure that out. But once they do, man, it's a beautiful thing. And I think all these guys here are working hard to get to that level, and we're going to get there.
Well, those are great words, and you can apply that to a lot of industries. Yeah. When you have no talent like Rock and I'm not sure what we're left with, but
just get lucky. Just get lucky.
Thanks, Keon. We appreciate your time today.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
That's Keon Broxton. Had a good day today with a couple of hits. That is a double by Torres with 2 outs to keep this inning going for Kansas City. Keon, you know, he's one of those guys, Rock. He's impressive every time you talk to him, and he has great perspective. He understands where he is in the game, and he's an older guy that figured it out. He's always been a terrific athlete, and I think he probably resonates more with that phrase by Counsell, turn talent into skills, because, you know, he was in the Pirates organization first with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Brewers are his 3rd organization, and really the wolf was at the door for him probably. He was running out of time.
Well, a couple of times last year didn't work out. He went down to the minor leagues. A good attitude, as we talked about, and he said made some adjustments, and he's a legitimate 5-tool guy that all of a sudden now, when he came back that 3rd time, he figured it out. And good for him. Some never do. Some have that ability. Some have that talent that never do figure it out.
Give you a chance to give you the numbers on Hiram Burgos, who is going to attempt to pitch the final 3 innings today. There's a hot smash, and the play is made by DeJesus on a line drive from Bubba Starling. DeJesus makes the play to save a run and end the inning. Outstanding play by the Brewers' 3rd baseman, just into the game, making an impact right away. Royals just take the lead 3-2 on a home run by Ryan O'Hearn, and the famous racing sausages now on display.
Hey, calling all young Brewers fans, Kids Crew, the official kids club of the Milwaukee Brewers, presented by U.S. Bank, is on sale now for just $25. Membership includes awesome Brewers gear, 6 free ticket vouchers, access to exclusive events, and more. Sign up today at brewers.com/kidscrew.
How many kids are going to be wearing the fake beards of Eric Thames, the new Brewer? Eric joins us from the Brewers dugout. Welcome to Milwaukee, sir. Great to have you with the organization.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Our first visit with Eric, and 3 years in Korea. We saw you in the big leagues with the Blue Jays and the Mariners, and then it was a name that nobody really thought much of as you left the major league circle, and then you went to Korea and found what to be able to come back and earn a multi-year contract from Milwaukee.
I just found Patience, pretty much. I mean, learning how to breathe and kind of relax, because I'm a very amped up kind of guy. I mean, if I wasn't playing baseball, I'd probably be wrestling or, doing something like that. So I'm very dramatic. So I learned how to breathe and kind of slowed things down a little bit, and that helped me tremendously.
This feels like a lot of discussion throughout the year on this topic as Lewis Brinson leads off for Milwaukee.
Yeah, this guy's been raking.
3 hits yesterday, hit a couple of home runs in the exhibition game. So, Eric, we just showed some highlights from you from Korea, and you end up, I assume, as a guy who was in that rock star status in Korea. I mean, I'm imagining, because I had a brother who played in Korea.
Oh, okay.
And he was a pitcher there for a couple of seasons, and he came back and told all these stories. This is in the 90s, late 90s. Told these stories how he couldn't walk down the streets. Because he became such a famous person there, and I'm sure it was that way for you.
Yeah, especially for me. I mean, my first year, fans didn't really know who I was. The second year, a little bit more, and then I won the MVP. Then my third year, it was just like, it was out of control. I mean, it was a blessing, honestly. You'd rather be liked than booed and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, I couldn't go anywhere. It didn't matter if it was 6 a.m. or 2 a.m. or it could have been pitch black. Somebody would see me. It was like out of control. So it's good to be over here, back in the States where I can blend in a little bit. I can go have a beer and kind of reflect and stuff. I don't have to.
Tough problem to have, right?
I know, yeah. I sound kind of ridiculous complaining, but it's good to be able to have some me time right now.
What did you learn about yourself as a hitter over in Korea?
Learning how to be patient, I know I've chased 3 pitches so far in these games. I keep track how many pitches I chase out of the zone, because when I was with Toronto and Seattle, man, I chased everything. Just trying to hit home runs every pitch, and you're chasing, you're skating yourself out against these $1 million arms. But over there, guys, wanted you to fish. They throw slow ephus curveballs or fork balls or change-ups. And they just want you to get yourself out. So the first few months I did. I struck out a lot, hit a lot of ground balls off the end of the bat, all that kind of stuff. And I kind of learned, okay, I have to be patient. I have to get a pitch that I can hit and then do some damage.
So you think that what you learned about patience, particularly breaking pitches, and I mean, what would you say the average velocity of the fastballs was over in Korea, and how does that, you think, compare to the game over here?
I would say the average, I would compare the KBO to the big leagues. The KBO is more like a grab bag. I mean, you have guys that have AA talent, you have AAA talent, you have guys with some serious big league talent. So it's more of a big bag of talent. But over here, you have guys that are really good. Everybody's major league caliber. So, yeah, you hear guys say, oh, yeah, the pitching's not as good. There are guys that should be in the big leagues. And they're guys that are. There's scouts over there all the time checking out certain pitchers and certain hitters. But the average velo, I would say 87, 88, 89. A lot of cutters, a lot of the rising fastballs. I mean, you'll see even the Japanese players have it too, where they'll kind of drop and drive, and they'll have a four seam that kind of around your belt and it'll go up. And so you think you're right on it, and you pop it up or you foul it off, and then here comes the good old split finger.
I would imagine, Eric, this is my own thought here, but you would probably be one of the rare players right now going through spring training, going through all of this, that while you have a multi-year contract and certainly financially set for a while, there's probably some nerves that you're dealing with and trying to work through, because you're back in the big leagues and trying to prove yourself here in the major leagues. Is that true? Is that fair?
No, I would say, I mean, obviously, when it's opening day and everybody, there's 40,000 fans going crazy. Yeah, there's gonna definitely be nerves, but right now, I'm putting all my attention and focusing on, getting the timing down. Dude, I don't know any of these guys. It's crazy. A lot of the pitchers that I played with and against are, either on other teams that we don't play, or it's they're out of the game now, and it's a crazy feeling knowing that. So I'm trying to face these young prospects, guys with throw 100 with nasty sinkers, and it's crazy. I mean, who's this guy? This guy was drafted 2 years ago. It's whoa, I feel like an old guy, even though I'm not that old, but I feel like an old guy. So yeah, so I'm just focusing all my energy on just kind of getting ready, getting my timing down, make sure my body's right, because opening day, that's when things really count.
So how do you prepare for, some of the pitchers that you're going to be facing? You're talking to Darnell Coles, or you kind of get next to another left-handed hitter? Is that kind of the way you prepare for some of the guys you're going to be facing?
Yeah, I mean, like obviously during the season, you have like hitters meetings. You break down every pitcher on their roster. You kind of like their tendencies, their strike percentages, stuff like that. But spring training, you know, like a team will bring random guys. Like you don't know who's going to pitch until they step on the mound. And so it's kind of like, I mean, it's how it is in the minor leagues. Like, hey, does he might know this guy? Fastball, changeup, curveball. Okay, but it's like still like you don't know like if he has a heavy sinker, if it's a four seam, if it's a cut fastball, if it has natural cut. And that's when you just kind of go up there and just play ball. You know, like, that's like old style kind of stuff, which it is right now. So, yeah, I'm trying not to like ambush too much. I'm trying to actually see the pitch and kind of get some timing down. So,
is it fair to say you'll get maybe more playing time than an everyday player would in the Cactus League because of that?
Yes. I mean, I'm definitely up for playing every day. Like I don't care. I mean, I had to cut down on the working out, which is okay. I'm used to it. I can lift all I want in the off season, so now it's time to just get loose and kind of, you know, focus on being game ready, being flexible, and like I said, the timing, man, that's like the biggest part. I said it probably 15 times already, but timing's the most important thing in this game. So, you know, as long as you have it kind of getting better as the season approaches, you're in good shape.
And it basically comes down to see ball, hit ball, and not make it too complicated.
Right, exactly. You know, you train hard, you know, you think and practice, but when it's game time, you just react and let your body do the work.
Doing nice. Little soft roller in front of the plate for out number 2. We're visiting with Eric Thames, the newest Brewer, signing a multi-year deal with Milwaukee. And you would have so many options in Korea, and I'm imagining Japan. And as much as you're willing to offer, what kind of opportunities did you have in the major leagues, and then why was Milwaukee the place for you?
Yeah, I mean, like all year, you know, I heard rumors, or I'm sorry, all 2016, I heard rumors about big league Cubs, you know, big league clubs. Sorry, I can't talk.
Cubs is a 4-letter word, by the way, in Milwaukee.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Don't beat me up. Yeah, a lot of big league clubs were coming to Korea scouting, you know, certain players, and they told me I was one of the guys. So I kind of put that on my mind, you know, because to me, like, I thought that, you know, I didn't know. I had no idea about the seriousness of some of these clubs. So, you know, come, you know, summer, I was kind of banking on going to Japan, you know, Japan and maybe Korea, depending on the offer and, you know, stuff like that. Because I enjoyed my time over there. And all of a sudden out of nowhere, I remember I just got home and yeah, the Brewers were interested. Like, I mean, I heard from a few teams, but the Brewers were the first ones that were like, hey, you know, what do you think? Like, you know, you want to come out and like see the stadium, like meet the coaches. And I met the guys and I was like, oh, I love this place. Like, this is awesome. You know, because I played in Wisconsin for the Northwoods League in lacrosse in '07, so I'm used to like the fans, like the crowds, and everybody's like so nice. We're so like, you know, that Midwest kind of like love, you know, and I love that. Like,
that's a great story, Eric. It's going to be fascinating watching you perform this year. We appreciate your time today, and we're looking forward to watching you all spring training long, pal.
All right, thank you, appreciate it.
Eric Thames has been with us.
Maryvale, and the Royals have a 3-2 lead. And keep up with the crew wherever you are with MLB.com at Bat, the official app of the Brewers, featuring live broadcasts, scoring updates, breaking news, and much, much more. Download At Bat today, free for your smartphone or tablet.
Maryvale Baseball Park, spring training home of the Brewers. Cactus League Baseball today, Royals and Brewers. It's 3-2 Kansas City as we go to the top of the 7th. Let's give you some of the changes. Came in last inning while we were conducting interviews out there. Brinson now takes over in center field. Neuenhuis in right. And a bouncer to third. DeJesus makes the play for the out. So you've got Wren, Brinson, and Neuenhuis in the outfield. DeJesus at third base. Arcia, the starting shortstop for the Brewers, is in a replacement role. Nate Orff is the second baseman, and Garrett Cooper is at first. Rene Garcia, by the way, is behind the plate. Burgos returns for his second inning of work. So those were all the changes that were made last inning. Now they're all in play for inning number 2. But Rock, it was great to visit with Eric Thames. Fantastic interview, fantastic story.
Yeah, and he loves Milwaukee. He's a diplomat already. He kind of gets it. He knows how to get into the good graces of the fans.
I was hoping we'd have one of those long anti-Rob Manfred innings so we could really get into a deep conversation with Thames. That was really interesting what he was delivering. Also chatted with Keon Broxton.
Rob Manfred.
Well, you know, Rob's trying.
He's looking to shorten the game.
Shorten
a
the
little
game,
bit.
and that was one instance where I'd like the game, the pace to slow down a little bit. As Moustakas sends one to left field, and there is out number 2. Our esteemed guests continue, our A-listers, as Ryan Lefever's joined us in the booth. You caught us right in the middle of all the changes, Ryan.
That's all right. Now this is where you get stuck with the long inning.
Well, we've already had 2 quick outs, and I'm guessing.
Nice talking with you guys.
That you have one more out remaining.
That's right.
No, we're going to keep you on for a while. And for our MLB Network audience and all those Royals fans out there, we thought we'd bring Ryan on, and he's one of our favorite guys anyway. But we also need a lot of information.
You got to give
on the
them
Kansas City minor leaguers.
Royals need equal time.
Yeah. I'm happy to bail you out. I could go sit in the Brewers dugout if you want me to.
Are you extremely exhausted for the 3 innings of radio that you called today?
I am. But I've been mentally preparing for this for the middle 3 innings.
It takes a lot of getting used to. Jorge Bonifacio is the batter for Kansas City. And if this inning is extended, we'll actually be able to ask Ryan some serious questions. And it is not. You can stay, can't you?
Absolutely.
Oh, it's been great having you, Ryan. We'll catch more of Ryan Lefever in the bottom of the inning. Normally we'd say goodbye to him and make a funny, but no, he's going to stay. He's going to stay. Royals as we head to the home 7th, and a reminder, you can kick off your weekend with Major League Soccer on FS1. 2 exciting matchups featuring teams making their MLS debut. You got Portland and Minnesota on Friday at 8:30 Central, and then Sunday it's Atlanta against the New York Red Bulls at 6:30 Central. MLS this weekend on FS1. Brian Anderson, Bill Schroeder, and from Royals Radio and Television, Ryan Lefever. Great to have you with us, buddy.
Good to be with you guys.
How are the Royals going to be this year? You guys look like you have a pretty good ball club and a chance to contend once again.
You know, they're a team that the numbers people just don't like. You know, they just, when you add up all of the contemporary statistics that so-called lead to championships, there are many categories where it just doesn't add up for the Royals. So a lot of the projections are they'll be in the middle of the pack, maybe even toward the bottom of the pack, but they're a very good team.
Arcia with the ground ball, first out of the inning.
And when I say team, they're just very balanced. A lot of these guys came up together. They accept their roles. You know, you don't have a few guys who really need the spotlight or the limelight. Guys that, you know, I'm going to get the big hit. You know, they of all the Royals teams I've been around, these guys love playing baseball together more than any other group, and that's just hard to quantify. But you watch them every day, and there's a reason why they've been one of the elite American League teams the last 4 years.
Well, even in the 2 World Series years, right? I mean, they were talking about there wasn't a big star at that time. Just played well as a team, played good defense, aggressive, put the ball in play, and it's pretty much what you're going to see again this year.
They do a lot of fundamental things that, you know, during the juiced era, you know, maybe weren't as important. They play good defense, as you said, Rock. They throw strikes. They're hard to strike out. Now, that might change this year. They have more power. There might be more strikeouts this year, but they put the ball in play. They take extra bases. And, of course, you know, maybe their biggest trademark in the last 4 years has been their lockdown bullpen. I mean, you give this bullpen a lead going into the 6th inning, and more times than not, the game is over.
Visiting with Ryan Lefever from the Royals television and radio crew as we watch 23-year-old Eric Stout pitch for Kansas City. And Jesus at the plate draws the walk. While we have you here, Ryan, how about we call this follow the director with all of the changes.
That is Terrence Gore in left field. That's Billy Burns in center. We got a track team out there. Jorge Bonifacio, younger brother of Emilio Bonifacio, who's played in the big leagues. That would be Hunter Dozier at third, a former first-round pick. Humberto Arteaga at short. Whit Merrifield, probably our super utility guy this year, at second. Peter O'Brien at first, big-time power. And Parker Morin behind the plate.
You've already paid off your visit here.
As long as you don't want me to tell you anything about any of those guys, we're in good shape.
But it's amazing you knew who they were. He didn't even look down. I mean,
he doesn't need it.
Just by looking at him.
Well, I just been watching the game the last 3 innings. It's amazing how you can keep up on the substitutions when you're not calling the game.
He's a pro. And now you're in your 19th season, correct?
Correct.
As a big league broadcaster.
19th with the Royals.
Oh, 19th with the Royals.
23. I spent 4 years in Minnesota before going to Kansas City.
With the mothership at FS North.
Yep.
And you had a playing career. You were a college player at Minnesota and transferred into the broadcast booth, radio and television. And so all your years in Kansas City, and we always love going to Kansas City. Kauffman Stadium is one of the gyms in the major leagues. And I remember those lean years when you guys were building your farm system, and it feels a lot like what the Brewers are trying to do right now, and they're hoping for the result that Kansas City was able to produce. What can you say about this transformation of an organization where now there is a distinct winning culture in Kansas City these days?
If I could sum it up in one word, and it's a boring word, but I've seen it come to fruition, it's patience. And when I was in Minnesota for 4 years, they had some good young players come up. It didn't come together until after I left.
The line shot into right center is going to get into the gap. Nate Orf with an extra base hit, and they're going to wave to Jesus to throw to the plate. One hop, and De Jesus is a dead duck. Terrific cutoff and relay from Kansas City. And with the slow track, DeJesus had no chance.
And that's what you were talking about, Ryan. Good defense, good fundamentals in the outfield, even with your minor league guys out there. Yeah.
You know, I'll get back to BA's question in a second, but Rock, I was watching them take infield practice the other day with the big league players, and our coaching staff was talking to them and lecturing them as if they were minor leaguers or college or high school players. I mean, they really hammer in the fine details of defense. There is no assumption that, okay, maybe he missed the cutoff man in spring training infield practice, but he knows what he's doing. When the game counts, he'll figure it out. Nope. I mean, they'll do it again and do it over again until they get it right. But BA, to your point, you know, even since I've been with the Royals, I've seen several waves of young players come up, and what this regime, since Dayton Moore took over in 2006, is they identified a core of young players, and they were patient. You know, Mike Moustakas didn't come along right away. Eric Hosmer didn't come along right away. It took Alex Gordon a while to become an all-star, and they just stuck with the plan. Whereas I think some teams have a plan, they stick with it until maybe the plan goes backward a little bit, if there's a little bit of a backslide, some growing pains, and that's where the decision has to be made. Are you going to stick with the plan, or are you going to panic because you're worried about saving jobs and you're worried about saving face, and now you start bringing in other players, and you start breaking up the culture that you've been working on all these years. And so if you could sum up the turnaround of the Kansas City Royals in one word, it would be patience.
No, and that's what Ned Yost did here, you know, back in 2004, 5, 6. You know, before they got to that postseason, and he's continuing that here with Kansas City.
There's a high fly ball. Garrett Cooper sends one deep, but run down in left field by Gore, and the side is retired. Well, Ryan, we wish you the best of luck this year. You got a great crew over there. We always love spending time with you guys. Good luck to the Royals this season.
Thanks for having me, guys. Great talking with you.
Ryan Lefever, one of our favorites. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Milwaukee Brewers, may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent of the Brewers. Great to spend a little time with Ryan Lefever. Great voice, one of the voices of the Kansas City Royals. They have the Hall of Famer Denny Matthews.
23 years, huh? He doesn't look like he's been around that long,
but he
has,
like he's only been alive for like 25 years.
He looks young. Yeah.
Steve Physiak. And, of course, Ryan, the son of Jim Lefever, longtime big leaguer, former big league manager. Hiram Burgos continues on here in the 8th inning.
Managed in Milwaukee.
Sure.
Interim manager. Hitting coach. Frenchie, they called him.
Burgos with multiple innings here today, trying to stretch him out. The Brewers are getting him prepared for the WBC. Facing Terrence Gore, the new left fielder. And a hot one that is past DeJesus, base hit. On his way to second, here comes the throw from Wren, and it's late, and that's a double. Ryan was telling us about the speed of the Royals outfield, and Gore went from home to second on a slow, wet track here, about as fast as you can.
Yeah, you look up, you see the ball being fielded out in left field. You figure there might be a play, but Gore, so fast, not even close. Look how quickly he turns first and makes it into second base easily. Wow.
And so here is Hunter Dozier, the new Royal third baseman. Lefever earned his keep, if for nothing else, getting us expedited on the Royals changes. They've got a lot of young prospects as well. They're high on a number of these young players. That's one thing about spring training. Some folks on the surface, as you have a pickoff play at second, I would say, Rock, a lot of folks can get cynical about spring training baseball and guys that you haven't heard of. But that's starting to, at least with hardcore baseball fans, not to be the case, because information, video, the talk of prospects and all the content about prospects, we all know who these guys are, especially with the team you're with. And it's fun to see these guys play, and the game takes on a much different pace and urgency when you get to the last 4 innings of a spring training game.
Yeah, these guys are playing for keeps. I mean, a lot of the guys that play in the beginning of the game, they know they have the team made. These guys are trying to open up some eyes, and they don't take it for granted. They enjoy the opportunity to get out there in a major league game and spring training, and a lot of times they take advantage of it. And they play a lot in spring training, at least early on.
Dozier, a hot one on the ground, is going to sneak through a base hit, and here comes Gore. He'll score easily, and the young Royals have added one to their lead. It is now 4-2 Kansas City as Hunter Dozier with an RBI single.
And Burgos got a breaking pitch up a little bit. Dozier able to get a bat on it, knock it into center field. They're trying to extend Burgos a little bit. You can see that pitch up out over the plate, and Burgos, or I should say, able to drive it into center field. A good piece of hitting by Dozier.
So that'll bring up Peter O'Brien now in the game at first base. Back-to-back hits to start the inning, and that one's hit a ton. Deep center field. Wind blowing out. Brinson out of room. Oh, my goodness. Up and over the batter's eye. Peter O'Brien with a 2-run bomb to center. Flashing as much power as we have seen here at Maryvale. That is a long way out there. The former Arizona Diamondback sends one to the deep reaches.
Now the wind blowing straight out into center field, and it certainly helped that one just a little bit. It looked like Brinson was going to have a play on it. It just never came down over the batter's eye, and a 2-run homer. Well, Burgos struggling to keep the baseball down here in this 8th inning.
3 runs are in. It is now 6-2 Kansas City.
Wind's blowing pretty strong out to center field. You get it up in the air like that, you have a chance.
Parker Morin at the plate for the Royals. Entered the game behind the plate. That 6th spot in the lineup, producing a couple of homers. Ryan O'Hearn hit one to right, which broke a 2-2 tie in the 6th inning. And the man who replaced O'Hearn, O'Brien, with a 2-run shot. Your name starts with O and you hit 6, it's going to be a good day. O'Hearn and O'Brien. On the ground and under the glove of Orf, another base hit. 4 consecutive hits to start the inning, and Burgos has run out of pitches. So Craig Counsell, the skipper, is on his way out to make a change. And the Brewers will head to their bullpen. We'll take a break. We'll set up the new hurler right after this. On the air tomorrow on Fox Sports Wisconsin. Hit the air at 2 o'clock Central Time Zone as the Cincinnati Reds come to Maryvale. Brewers Reds Central Division rivals tomorrow. A television game, and then the rest of the week for Milwaukee. That game against the Angels, by the way, on Friday will be televised and broadcast courtesy of our friends from Fox Sports West. And then we are back on the air, Rock and I, Saturday against the Rangers. All kind of trouble in this inning for Burgos. Gives up 3 runs here in the 8th, and still nobody out with a man on. Counsel goes to Damian Magnifico to try to clean it up.
Yeah, the hard throw. We saw Magnifico last year in the month of September in Milwaukee. His numbers last year down in Colorado Springs.
The Sky Sox closer last year. And a bouncer to third, and on the first pitch from Magnifico, the Brewers get a double play ball out of it. That's a way to come in and settle things down. 5-4-3 double play around the horn. The Brewers go.
Guy's got a terrific arm. It's just a matter of being able to throw enough strikes. There's a good fastball down and an easy double play.
So Arteaga in his first at bat bounces into the double play. Billy Burns now with 2 outs and the bases empty. Burns, a former Oakland Athletic, had that great rookie year 2 years ago. A down year last year, splitting time between Oakland and Kansas City. Traded from the A's to the Royals. A very defensive swing. We saw Billy Burns last year when the Brewers played the A's, and then ended up in Kansas City. One ball, one strike. 1-2 now. And it got him. Magnifico. Magnificent. What a performance. Comes on, gets a double play ball, then a strikeout. Settles the game down in the 8th. Brewers coming up in the home 8th.
I truly believe
Well, right now on FoxSportsWisconsin.com, got a few stories up. You can read about some of the fun facts, this year's Brewer players. Hiram Burgos, who pitched today, struggled today, but he's trying to make that jump again from WBC to the big league club. He's done it once. And then you've got the Maverick Phillips, Josh Hader, Wayne's World video. It's pretty good. It's pretty authentic. Here we go to the bottom of the 8th. Malcolm Culver, as you check his AAA numbers from a year ago, pitches with a 6-2 Kansas City lead.
They had 6 saves down in AAA Omaha last year in 44 games. A 386 earned run average. He was an 8th round draft choice by the Kansas City Royals way back in 08.
And it'll be Rene Garcia with the first at bat. Garcia now catching for the Brewers. Lewis Brinson is due to hit next. He is a guy that you want to see hit. He's been hitting a lot. In the air, right field, slicing foul into the Brewers bullpen area. Cool and cloudy today. Somebody make a catch down there? I think so. That's an empty glove, though. Is that a Tim Dillard sighting down there with the beard? I believe it is.
He's on the list. We might see him.
Dim Tillard perhaps will be on the mound. A treat for us all.
Is he back with the beard? We saw him last year in September, right? Doing some social media stuff.
He's been hot on the social media already.
Didn't have the beard when we saw him, did we? It was more the TV look.
Yeah. He didn't have the beard last year. He can grow a beard in like 3 days. It's impressive. Fly ball to right. Ball's traveling well. And run down by Bonifacio for the first out. Garcia flies out. And that's going to bring up Lewis Brinson now. This is a guy that has been impressive in the first few games of the exhibition schedule. He was the key piece in the Jonathan Lucroy deal. Instantly went to the Brewers' #1 position as far as prospects go. In the air, right field, slicing. And near the Brewers bullpen.
Yeah, Brinson 6'5", 206 pounds, according to the Brewers media guy, 22 years old. Well, he's a specimen, huh?
Brinson had 3 hits yesterday against his old team, the Rangers.
That's a good effort out there.
Is it?
That doesn't look like him.
That was a whiff. Major whiff.
There's a lot to contend with down there. You got the bench, you got the screen. You can hurt yourself doing that.
That's why they don't let pitchers catch pop-ups.
Check it out. I mean, really.
I don't know.
You got the golf cart, you got the bench, the screen.
I think he pulled the plug a tad early. Brinson, a chopper to third. Tough play, and it's going to get by the third baseman Dozier. So Brinson is aboard again. He walked last time up and stole the base. We'll see if he's on the move. I'll bring up Kyle Wren now. And Wren on the first pitch, stirring up that bullpen again. Jacob Nottingham getting.
I don't think he'd pull the cord too early.
Did you see Nottingham as the pitch from the reliever came in? He got spooked.
Now, wasn't Nottingham that bailed early on the last one, was it?
I don't
was it him?
think so. I mean, it could be. Now that I'm having a hard time, check this out. All right, so yeah, he finds a friend, makes a friend. Now watch this. Oh,
I think it was him.
was that him? So that wasn't a pitcher after all. My apologies to the pitchers. Wren to deep center. Burns is there for out number 2. Kirk Neuenhuis with 2 away. Second at bat for Kirk. Coming back from injury, injured himself last year. It was, as he describes it, it was a sports hernia with a little added damage. And it took surgery to repair the injury. Took him a while to come back. Very painful injury. Tried to play through it all year. And when he couldn't go anymore, he finally had to go under the knife.
Neuenhuis did a good job out in center field for the Brewers. It was a position a lot of guys had an opportunity. Finally settled in on Keon Broxton.
Neuenhuis, the former Met, had career highs last year in homers and RBIs. Wonder how he might have finished had he been healthy. That's one question I think the Brewers would like to get from Neuenhuis. He's a very athletic, very talented player. Hasn't proven he can hit consistently in the big leagues, but when given a chance, he showed that he had some pop, and he was a terrific defender. He's one of those guys that plays center field. He's a big guy as well. One of those rangy center fielders. Made a couple of terrific plays last year. Went up and over the wall to get a few. He plays fearless in center. And he draws the walk in this 8th inning. 2 on, 2 out. Brewers down 4. Will bring Manny Pena to the plate.
Nice in the sun today. We've been in the shade all day.
Which is a good place to be because it was pouring down rain before the game today. Now the sun's out. Still a little chilly out, but tomorrow temperatures expected to be in the 70s, and then we're going to get up into the 80s as we approach the weekend.
Gonna be nice.
Then it's going to start to feel like spring training.
Been a lot of rain down in the valley here in the last couple of weeks. Not so good for baseball, but really good for the desert.
Yeah, they could use the rain. Pena, a little shallow fly ball, going to be trouble. That's going to fall, a base hit. Brinson read it well and scores as he was on the move with 2 outs. Scores easily. And it's 6-3, an RBI hit for Manny Pena.
Well, didn't hit it all that hard, but the fact that you have to play so deep in the outfield here, Gore not able to get a jump and make the catch. So Brinson with a base hit, able to come around to score. A little jam shot, and that'll end up a base hit and an RBI.
All right, good for Pena now. Here comes Arcia. A little strange to see Orlando Arcia, the Brewers starting shortstop, one of the great young talents in baseball. Strange to see him this time of the game. But council wanted to give Yadiel Rivera a start at shortstop today, so Rivera got the first call, and Arcia gets his at-bats in a backup role. And
Well, keep him ready, and I mean, I don't think he's actually deserved the ability to assume he's going to start, and if he doesn't start, he's not going to play. So get him in the game, get him a couple of at bats. If this kid can hit just a little bit, he's going to be a good one. There's not too many better defensively out there on the infield than Orlando Arcia.
Came up last year, got off to a fast start, and then went into a mighty slump, which Craig Counsell and hitting coach Darnell Coles actually said was a good thing for Arcia. He needed to struggle, and as soon as you get those struggles out of the way and you learn about adjustments and maybe some big league humility as far as how to approach it, the game has been very easy for Orlando Arcia. He's always been the youngest player at any professional level. Made it to the big leagues at 21. Now in his age 22 season. He is a special defender at short. And a little muscle line drive foul. Just missed the line. Count will stay at 1-2. Orlando is the younger brother of Osvaldo Arcia. Spent a few years with the Twins and ended up with the Rays. Big power hitter, left-handed hitter. Orlando is a different kind of player than his brother Osvaldo. So one thing you know about Orlando is that he has enough from his big brother to know how difficult and humbling the game can be at the big league level.
And he's a very respectful young man. Noticed that when he came up last year.
Ball and 2 strikes. First and second for the Brewers. Down 3 runs, tying run at the plate. Shadows starting to creep out toward home plate. Arcia, center field. Burns fighting the sun a little, makes a catch. That'll end the inning. Brewers get a run though. Manny Pena with an RBI single. 6-3 our score. Kansas City leads it. We go to the 9th inning, and the Royals are coming up. Not too far from there, Maryvale Baseball Park in Phoenix proper, spring training home of the Brewers. Turned out to be a beautiful afternoon here. A little chilly, temperature in the 60s. But good to see the sunshine after all that rain the last couple of days. Ninth inning now, 6-3 our score. Royals with a 3-run eighth inning, taking the lead. And here's David Goforth, now a non-roster invitee with Milwaukee.
Yeah, we saw him pitch on Sunday here at Murrayvale. Second time that he has been on the mound. 42 games last year in Colorado Springs, a .491 earned run average. 38 strikeouts, 35 walks in 51 in the third innings for the hard-throwing right-hander David Goforth.
Played his college ball at Ole Miss. Goforth lives in Austin, Texas now. And he will face Whit Merrifield to start it. On the first pitch, Merrifield sends one to right. Wind blowing, and Neuenhuis near the track makes a catch. One pitch, one out for Goforth. Merrifield, another one of those Royals battling for that second base job. Retired on the first pitch. So one away. Here is Samir Dueñas. Hitting in the spot originally occupied by Mike Moustakas, who got 4 at-bats today in a DH role. Moustakas coming back from ACL surgery. You don't normally see names like Moustakas hit 4 times in a Cactus League game this early, but trying to get as many at-bats as possible for him.
A lot of times your big stars do not make road trips in the Cactus League. They pretty much get their playing time at home. One of the perks that you get when you've been around a while.
Dueñas, also known as Samir Dueñas. Our director Marty Tars not missing a beat today, working on the scoreboard operator. Spring training for everybody, Marty. But it is Dueñas. Look at that year last year. 100 RBIs in the minors.
That's a good year.
Combined, and it is a rare feat in minor league baseball.
And only 13 homers. So that's not a lot of home runs for 100 ribbies.
High pop up. Arcia waving off early. And he's got it for the out. 2 gone in the inning. So a minor league season is 142 games. It's a month shorter than a big league season. And to put up a triple-digit RBI year is very impressive, and will get the attention of many.
And usually when you have 100 RBIs, you're talking, you know, 25, 30 homers. 13 homers, not a lot.
He did that in 3 different locations last year. Started in A ball, ended up in AA. Dueñas. 2 outs for Bonifacio. You can see the brotherly resemblance in the face of Bonifacio. Emilio, his brother, but he is a completely different kind of player. He is a lot bigger physically than his bro. Goforth has good stuff.
Yes, he does. That was a good power sinker right there, in under the hands of Bonifacio. Good pitch.
6 strikes, only 2 out of the strike zone. Pitch number 9 coming for Goforth. 2 outs in the 9th. Good slider. Bonifacio didn't bite. Jorge Bonifacio has been on the Royals 40-man roster the last couple of years. He's trying to play his way to the big league somehow. A crowded outfield, though, in Kansas City. Full count. Go forth. And that one's foul back. Brewers will have one last crack at the Royals today. And they'll have the top of the order coming up. DeJesus, Orf, and Cooper scheduled to hit. Here's another payoff. Just missed. Judging by that moan, that's a ring up for you.
Did I moan?
That was a.
Did you hear it?
That actually came out of your mouth.
I said, yeah, you got to call that. Not too close.
Did you think you just imagine that, or that was just in a thought?
Yeah, well, I'm having a difficult time with my inner monologue. That was like, come on. Well, Pena made it look pretty good. Actually, Garcia made it look pretty good. A little bit off the outside corner.
So Toby Basner's off the hook.
That's right.
For your groans. Spring training groan. I thought you were slipping into Mike Shannon mode for a moment. Just random noises. I think maybe our favorite random noise reaction guy had to be the great, late, great Ron Santo.
Right.
Nothing better. We miss Ron. Oh, Pat.
Not the same going to Wrigley without Ron. It's not going to be the same going to Dodger Stadium. Yeah. The great ones.
Terrence Gore had a double his last time up. He's from Macon, Georgia. Draws the walk. There's a minor league team in Macon. You know what their team nickname is?
What's that?
Whoopee.
Whoopee. Why is that?
The Macon Whoopee.
Oh, I get it.
No, it's for real. You don't spend a lot of time studying the minor league mascots, do you?
I do not.
Once you left the minor leagues, no more. Didn't want to ever look back. I don't blame you.
Who was that that reliever we had that knew all the minor league mascots? And
Oh, yeah, that's right. Burt Badenhop. wasn't
yeah,
it?
Badenhopper, the Hopper.
That's right.
Stump the Hopper.
We had a show called Stump the Hopper. Big swing by Dozier. He did. He not only did he. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Like, you could just throw out a name of a city, and he would know the nickname of the team and what league they played in.
Right.
And every now and then he'd give you a nugget, like, oh, they were Southern League champions in 1998.
Right.
It was amazing.
It is something, isn't it?
What a skill to have.
And the thing, you wonder why.
High pop-up, playable. And the side is retired. Last call for the Brewers, partner. 6-3 Royals. Brewers need 3 to tie. Might as well get 4. To the bottom of the ninth we go. Spring training baseball. Fox Sports Wisconsin and nationally on MLB Network. Great to have all of you with us. You're hanging in there tough. Game was about 20 minutes delayed after a big rain shower came through before the game. Yender Karamo on the pitch for the Kansas City Royals.
Yeah, he back and forth between the rotation and the bullpen. You see good numbers for Karamo. 6 and 7, a .245 earned run average, and 117 and 2/3 innings of work. Looking to close this one out for Kansas City. Brewers need 4.
Four will do it. Spring training, we're usually rooting for some combination in a situation like this of less than 3 or greater than 3.
Right.
When you're down 3. That's only a spring training rule for broadcasters. Ivan DeJesus Jr. leads off. The former Red takes a strike. Reds are coming in here tomorrow. We'll have that game on television for you. I wonder if the great Marty Brennaman will be with the Cincinnati Reds tomorrow.
I bet he is.
Because if so, it's a must. As DeJesus singles to right field, a base hit.
You're going to have him on?
Oh, I hope so. We got to go through his people, though. There's a lot of layers to get Marty Brennaman on.
We had him on last year.
It's probably the highlight of the spring when Marty Brennaman came on our air and demanded that the Reds trade all of the Reds players. One of my favorite moments. Marty, what do you think? How do you think the Reds are going to be? Well, I think they should trade them all.
He did.
That's exactly what he said. He's the greatest. I believe the Brewers Hall of Fame announcer, Bob Uecker, will be here tomorrow, Rock. That's correct.
Got some radio.
It is a radio day. Double play ball here. Nate Orff bounces into a 6-4-3 double play. 2 for the price of 1. And the Brewers are an out away from a spring training loss.
We will see Chase Anderson on the hill tomorrow.
Very nice.
For Cincinnati, or against Cincinnati.
Yep, Bob Uecker, Jeff Levering are back on the radio tomorrow. We'll have it for you on television. Full complement of coverage tomorrow against the Redlegs. It'll be good to see Mr. Baseball. Haven't seen Bob Uecker here at the ballpark just yet. He came out a little earlier for workouts and whatnot. Bob Uecker, Jeff Levering, and Lane Grindle will have the radio coverage for you this season, along with producer-engineer Kent Sommerfeld. Perhaps we'll have 2 Hall of Famers in the press box tomorrow. Garrett Cooper, last hope for the Brewers, trying to hit a 3-run homer with nobody on. The bouncer foul. Ryan Cordell is due next. That'd be a guy you'd like to see hit today. Coming to the Brewers in that Lucroy trade, the player to be named later.
He's got a good swing. Hit a bullet home run here on Sunday.
Cooper on the ground, bobbled, recovered, and the throw is in time, and the ball game is over. Kansas City wins it today. Royals go to 3-1 in the Cactus League if you're keeping score. Brewers drop to 1-3. 6-3 the final score. Each club with 10 hits. Back to wrap it up. Get you set for tomorrow.